What is up, everybody? Welcome to Theocracy. I am your intrepid host, Theo Snodgrass, comedian and podcaster out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Wherever you may be, thank you for making me a part of your day. I am so happy to be here with you today. I've had a lot of new viewers lately, so thank you for that. If you're new here, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. That kind of stuff really helps the channel. Even if you want to tell me to fuck off, that's fine. Really helps the channel when you do that. So very beneficial, very beneficial. A little bit of a late start today because we had to troubleshoot some audio issues at the beginning. Hopefully that won't be an issue in the future. We're working on resolving that real soon. I'm so excited. Are you guys excited? I know why you're happy. You guys saw the Nick Fuentes Piers Morgan interview. That's great. Oh my God, that was a lot of fun. I just did a breakdown of that last night on Ironcast. I've got a lot more stuff I want to break down today. I'm happy because I've been talking about this for a while. Fans of the show will know I brought this up, this issue up in September, and I've been talking about it. I had actually had a crash out on Ironcast right after the Charlie Kirk assassination, where I crashed out about this exact issue, and I was like jumping up and down and waving my hands trying to get people to listen. And now it's indisputable, and I love being right about stuff. Is my favorite emotion. Is my favorite sensation. You know, people, I've heard a lot of married men say they'd rather be happy than be right. And I can't relate. I've never been happy before, but I've been right, and right feels amazing. It's great. It's great. Honestly, it's like the liberal social order is done. I think legacy media has no fucking idea what to do with these new media guys who don't give a shit about what you call them. They're not ashamed. They don't care about being called racist. They don't care about being called sexist. They're in a completely different place with that. Like, the zeitgeist has completely shifted for the younger generation, and I think the older generation has no idea how to handle it. And I think, so this is something, this is not going to be news. A lot of what we're going to talk about today is not going to be, shout out to fucking friend of the channel. Thanks. Thanks, Strider. Happy to be here. Strider, friend of the channel as well. That's good. But okay, so this is to longtime listeners of the show, people who are familiar with my work. This is not, none of this is going to be like new information to you guys because you guys have been following it. But I don't know, like maybe some of you could send this to your parents or whatever, because I don't want to just talk about the Nick Fuentes interview on Piers Morgan. I am looking forward to talking about that. I am hyped to talk about that. That's going to be a lot of fun. But more importantly, I want to talk about kind of how we got here. And there is a clip from 9 years ago that was really hard to find. I went through Grok, couldn't find it. I had to find it myself. And it's a clip of Jordan Peterson getting confronted by protesters at the University of Toronto. And I actually finally found the clip. The reason I couldn't find the clip, I think a lot of you have seen it before, but it's literally on a YouTube account which has like 38 subscribers. It's only got like 40,000 views, even though it's like a 9-year-old clip. But it has this moment right at the beginning that is exactly the point. Because a lot of people, I think a lot of people heard Nick Fuentes, and people who follow him were like, yep, that's about what I expected. And I think people who pay attention to these things, who have their finger on the pulse of where things are going in the country politically, I don't think anything that he said or did was surprising. But I think a lot of people found it quite jarring. A lot of people who are still set in the old, liberal social order of, everybody gets along, or wokeness, or like being racist is bad or whatever. And I think for those people who are still in that bubble, I think that caught them off guard. And they're like, well, there's no way this is popular. And I think that was true at a time. But things have shifted, and I want to do a little bit of history. There's a couple of clips I want to show before I get into the interview portion, the interview breakdown. So if you're interested in the interview portion, just skip ahead, because I'm going to do some other clips prior to that. So that's what you want to, if you're watching the replay. Obviously, the people, live viewers, can't skip ahead. You guys are stuck with me. You guys are stuck. The show's just going to go where I want it to go, baby. Shout out to the audio-only listeners. Love you guys. All right, so let's pull this up, because this will, so some of you will undoubtedly recognize this, but this moment is burned in the back of my retina and has been for nearly a decade. I think about it all the time, and I kept thinking about it as I was watching the Piers Morgan Nick Fuentes interview. So go ahead and watch this. We're to start here.
I want to go talk to Peterson. Peterson.
This is a transgender activist confronting Jordan Peterson because of his views on free speech. And this is before, like, this is way before all the Peterson hype. This is like way at the beginning of the Peterson hype train. So this is like 2016. This is at the very beginning of the Peterson hype train. People are just now figuring out who he is. He still works at the University of Toronto at this point. So this is before he became a meme, essentially. Go ahead.
Do you have any comments on the Nazi presence at your protest? The presence of Nazis and white supremacists assaulting people at your protest. Do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, I don't like Nazis.
Then
why were they here?
Well, how can I answer
Are there views in alignment with yours?
At some point, you
I
have to
think
realize.
that's a foolish question. Look, if you want to know what my views are,
No, so this is before he knew what he was up against. These are like deliberate bad faith questions. We all remember this, right? Where this was like a normal thing. This is like what college was like when I was there. You know, you just had, you know, the fucking blue-haired weirdos running around putting phones in people's faces, asking them questions. This is what I remember this zeitgeist. You know, this is a little bit after my time, kind of like after college, but before I was in law school. So it's kind of, you know, I was just like bumming around at this point in my life. Anyway, go ahead.
I've watched all of your videos, yes.
Including...
Yes, I have.
Yes.
then why would you ask such a question?
Because this is my interpretation of your videos.
Apparently,
That's
I wanted
not-
to...
You see how they're just laughing and just like using snide mockery, right? I mean, it's the same tactics. Now, at this point, at this time in history, remember, this was kind of like shocking and new to a lot of people. But like now, we've seen this 1,000 times. We've seen this same strategy replicated 1,000 times now in the last decade or so. So go ahead.
The people who arranged the protest against you watched all of your videos.
It's like, do you want to
I have
disavow...
150 videos on YouTube.
No, your lectures, which sparked the debate.
Okay.
Do you want to disavow the support...
Could you let me talk to her for a moment?
Don't call me that, please.
Uh-oh, he misgendered her by accident. His bad. That's a tough one. Tough one. But you see how he's still trying to engage with them in good faith? He doesn't know that this is just going to be one bad faith question after another yet. He hasn't figured that out. Right? He still thinks he can good faith conversation his way out of this. Right? He still thinks there's a free speech answer, which is why he, you know, had a free speech rally. Go ahead.
So, I have 150 lectures on YouTube. There's 500 hours of my views.
Do you really
If
think that
wanna
you're
find
worth
out
all
what
of
they
that
were-
time?
So look, I will answer your
Okay, now this is the part where things get interesting, and this is what's relevant to today. So I want you to remember that this was the zeitgeist 9 years ago. Go ahead.
question, okay? I've studied Nazism for a very long time. It's been 4 decades, and I understand it very well. And I can tell you that there's some awful people lurking in the corners, and they're ready to come out. And if the radical left keeps pushing the way
That
it's
sounds
pushing,
very much like a
they're
threat.
going to come.
There it is. Willfully missing the point. He's delivering a warning because he saw it coming, and then it's immediately interpreted as, is that a threat? Am I a victim again? Am I a victim? Because that's the only thing. They can position themselves in the position of like snide mockery, guilting, shame. I'm a victim. You're a perpetrator. They don't have any ability to engage in discourse, right? But
Sounds very much
not
like a
a
threat.
threat.
It sounds very much like a threat. Would you like to disavow the physical?
See, that's the him trying to tell you part. Now, I have one more clip. I regret to inform you, we have one more clip that we're going to get through before we get to the Nick Fuentes reactions. We got one more that we're going to get through, and that will add an important layer of context. Because remember, that's where the bad faith discourse was. But so that's what like college was like when I was there, and then people that I went to college with kind of like at the same time went up and became elementary school teachers and high school teachers and middle school teachers, and they went from the colleges of education where they learned a bunch of woke bullshit, and then they went into schools and started teaching from the pedagogical framework of woke bullshit, okay? And then that created this other phenomenon that I want to show you right now. Okay. This is a completely different video, but I promise it's related. Go ahead.
Younger people, have you seen the data showing the movement of teenage boys politically to the right?
Now, this is from last year. This is from last year. This is before Charlie Kirk got assassinated. So it was last year, kind of like in the middle, is when this clip was going around because I was like I was trying to talk to people about it, and in general, like people who did not already agree with me did not find it persuasive. Go ahead.
Where else are they going to go?
It's a good question.
I mean, I had a teenage boy. I still have one, but he's 18 now. And I watched them be pushed farther and farther right by their schools. You suck. All of your instincts are bad. These girls are amazing. Look at you. You're pathetic. Be less masculine. You're just barking at them constantly. They're not moving right. They're moving out of your stupid way. You've given them what? Nothing. Nothing. One of my son's friends died recently by his own hand.
This is actually something I talk about a lot. I think millennials, we had to deal with a very oppressive, highly feminized school system in which it's like really difficult to exist as a young man. But there was also if you take on a bunch of student loan debt, then you'll be able to buy a house and a sweet car and live a cool life one day. Because we grew up in the 90s during an age of relative prosperity. And so we, in general, were brought up to believe that hard work pays off. And then a bunch of us ended up like debt slaves who can barely, pay our bills. And I think Gen Z saw that and they checked out. Not only was the school system more leftist, more woke, more feminized, more hostile to the way men natively are, but also there's zero incentive for them to cooperate with the society because there's like no chance of them advancing themselves economically. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's harder to get into college, and even if you do get into college, it's harder to get a job, and even if you do get a job, you're not going to make as much money, and the money you do make is not going to go as far. So there's basically zero opportunities. And also cooperative relationships between men and women have completely broken down, which is another incentive completely gone for young men to cooperate. So, I mean, yeah, it's just like the amount of just direct, overt hostility. And, I've tried to have this conversation with feminists before, and they will usually say something like, it just sounds like whining to me. It's like you're saying if I'm not nice to you, then you're just going to become a Nazi. Like, that's not fair. Why can't you just be more like women? Like, that's generally the argument. I don't have to do the voice. I probably shouldn't do the voice. I'm trying to, like, steelman their position. But it's like, that's really what comes back to is they just hear this as whining. They don't view this as like a legitimate grievance. And I think because the super toxic HR culture that wants to restrict speech, since that's the water they swim in, they're not able to see it. If I can borrow an expression from the woke, it's the water they swim in. It's so it is their reality. So they can't see it. Right. They don't see, they can't understand it because they don't believe men and women are different. They don't understand why that environment is oppressive to young men. And because they don't understand how oppressive the environment is, they don't understand how fucking cathartic it is for a lot of young men to see Nick Fuentes on Piers Morgan just like fucking ruining him. They don't understand why the live chat is flooded with Nick Fuentes supporters. They don't get it. So let's wrap up this video and then we're going to get into, I know why you guys are actually here. So we're going to get into the actual reaction. But this is just going to set the scene for like, why did this happen? Where did this come from? Nick Fuentes did not just drop out of the sky. Okay, this has been brewing for a long time. Okay.
And I don't know what kind of pressures he was put under. But I watched those kids go through this pressure cooker created by this crazy, parasitized left-wing educational movement. Get away from our sons. Get away from our daughters. Get away from our sons and away from our daughters. It's not left or right. I don't have a Republican bone in my body. Get the crazy people who do not understand human development away from our children.
Yeah, see, that's kind of I think, for a lot of people, their experience with the education system more or less reflects that. It's just oppressive. And the other thing, too, is that we've had I think one of the big problems we're having is that the things that cultures forget are the things everybody knows, right? And so one of the things that you're going to see, I think, in this is that the older generation doesn't have any legitimate arguments for their position anymore. They only have shaming tactics if you engage in wrongthink. So this up and coming generation that's kind of like fascism curious, that doesn't give a fuck about being shamed, that doesn't care about any of that. Like for them, the shaming tactics are not going to work. Like, it's not going to work. And if they don't have shaming tactics, like, it's past that point. You're going to have to make a legitimate argument now. You're going to have to make a legitimate argument for why fascism is bad. And that was something that everybody knew, but somehow everyone has forgotten. We know it feels bad to do fascism, but we don't remember why. And some guys don't remember why so much that they want to try it again. So anyway, this is really fascinating. We're going to have a lot of fun today. I'm very excited. Let's go ahead and pull up our first clip. I'm super stoked. Beep. Let's see. There we go. And then show that on stream. There we go. All right, let's party.
You're a messiah.
These are so much fun. Oh, man. Go ahead.
But it's true.
Do you think your views on women might change if you actually ever had a relationship with one or had sex and actually had a proper relationship?
See, this is like immediately, like from the start, Piers is going with the high school girl tactic of being like he's shaming him. This is, by the way, this is the only value structure that the current social order understands. Like, it doesn't understand the idea of being like celibate before marriage for religious reasons. It doesn't have any concept of that value structure. It's just like, you can't get laid. These two views are completely incongruent. And remember, Piers thinks he's crushing it. I want you to keep that in mind during all these clips. Piers thinks he is running away with this, that he is like dominating this debate, and that his viewership is going to think that this was an unqualified victory for him. Remember that during this whole discussion. Go ahead.
I mean, people say the reason you're so angry about women is you're basically an incel.
Well, I'm not angry about it.
You sound very angry. You sound very, very angry about women.
I'm passionate. It's an issue.
You're
I'm
not passionate.
about.
You're sounding very bitter about women, as if women have done a.
So if you've argued with feminists before, you'll remember this. This is a variation of who hurt you. So it's like, if you present a very cogent, logical argument, but you do it in an elevated tone, then the feminist, male or female, that you're talking to is going to say, no, you sound like someone who's really been hurt, and I just want to hold space for you to have your big boy feelings. Right, and that's an attempt to trigger you and not have to address the substance of what you said. It's a like hysterical emotional response, but it's an avoidance tactic, so they don't have to grapple with the substance of the point that you're making. Go ahead.
Terrible disservice to you, but when you don't have relationships, you don't have sex, when are they doing these terrible things to you that's made you so hateful towards women? I'm really curious.
I don't think that was a hateful clip. I think I was laughing. I said they want men to beat the shit out of them. And that's just true. I mean, when you look at the state of modern women, all they do is lay in their bed, doom scroll. They're chilling out. They're getting a little fat. It is what it is. I don't know what the average weight is, but they're getting a little heavy. And any guy that is playing the field these days will tell you that. I mean, and I know a lot of the Chads. I am an incel. I'm friends with a lot of Chads like Bradley Martin, Clavicular.
Now, that's the other thing too, is like he owns the fact that he's an incel. And by the way, every time you insult him for being an incel, you embolden his base. The reason he has the kind of support he does is because a lot of people identify with him. A lot of people are disaffected. A lot of guys are angry. A lot of guys aren't getting laid. A lot of guys, hang out in their basement and play video games and get no pussy, right? A lot of guys relate to that. So every time you insult him for those things, the difference is like he does all those things and he has a wildly successful live stream. So a lot of people relate to that. So when you attack him, they're attacking him for that in an attempt to discredit him. And all they are doing is galvanizing his followers who are, I cannot tell you how there's such a deep, deep deep well of anger and resentment. Bear in mind that Jordan Peterson clip that I showed at the beginning is 9 years old. Nick Fuentes has been doing a show for 8 years. See what I'm saying? So it's been building that whole time. Like the well of resentment is deep, and it stretches back before that. Because remember, 9 years ago, that was when the left felt so emboldened and entitled that they were confident that they could speak that way. They could be that obnoxious in public and they would face zero consequences for it. Okay. So that's where the zeitgeist was, these guys were in school. So if you got to think like a guy who's like 20 now, 9 years ago, he was 11. And that was, you see what I'm saying? It's been building the whole time. So it's been like their whole childhood and into their adult life. This is happening, right? And they've been subjected to tactics of shaming, sit down, shut the fuck up, let women lead. What you think isn't important. You are the problem with society, definitely if you're male, but especially if you're white, you are the problem with society. Everything wrong with society is your fault. And they're pretty much done with it. They're pretty much done with it at this point. So I don't. And by the way, it's really hard to, I mean, like, dude, honestly, as far as his commentary about women, look, I probably wouldn't phrase it that way, but you can't actually say that what he's saying is untrue. He's right. Like, his analysis here is fundamentally correct. I wouldn't phrase it that way. But he's mostly right, and it's not all women, but it's enough that it's a problem. And I think this is the thing I think a lot of boomers forget when they talk to Gen Z guys, like, why aren't you married? Why don't you have a girlfriend? Why aren't you getting out there and chasing after women? It's like, when you were younger, dating was a lot more fun. There was a reasonable chance that the woman you were talking to actually liked men as people, and liked hanging out with men, kind of knew what men were and enjoyed hanging out with them. There was a chance that you might have some modicum of enjoyment hanging out with this person. And the odds of that have significantly decreased. The amount of work you have to do has gone way up, and the amount of benefit you get has gone way down. And I think that, to put it really simply, like, porn and video games got way better and women got way worse. So that's why the guys are staying inside more. And somebody like Piers is completely out of touch with that. Completely out of touch, which is super funny. I got some fun stuff on that. I got some fun stuff on that coming up later. But that's gonna be fun. But we gotta go through all the woman clips first, because this is Theocracy after all. This is not, this isn't a politics show. Go ahead.
They agree with me. There's sort of like this alliance between the guys that don't have sex and the guys that get the most sex. We know what women are about. It's the guys in the middle.
This is actually true, what he's saying here. It's like the people who report having the most misogynistic views are the guys who get no pussy, and the guys who get the most pussy. And I think that's right. Those are the two groups where you see women's, you see the kind of the bad side. You see women acting with human nature and like natural self-interest and like what women are actually willing to do. And because with the incels, they just get treated like total garbage because women don't see them as people. And then if you're a guy who does pretty well and has a lot of access to women, you're going to find out how many women cheat on their husbands, how many women cheat on their boyfriends, fiancés, whatever, how many women have like really no regard for relationship. You're going to find out, like, one of the things it finds out, like, for me, I was a late bloomer, so I thought women just like didn't like, just like were not that fun. And then I realized, I was like, oh no, women are a lot of fun if they're actually attracted to you. If a woman's actually attracted to you, it is super easy. It takes like no effort. Everything is awesome. It's super easy. You don't even have to text them. They will just show up. They will just show up for you. They will go way out of their way for you. They will bend over backwards to contort themselves to your preferences if they actually like you and are attracted to you. So if you're working really hard, getting no play from your woman, she just doesn't like you. She just doesn't like you. And I'd like, you see how women treat men they don't like very acutely if you're somebody who has a lot of access or somebody who has like no access. That's where you see it's the guy, like he's saying, it's the guys in the middle. And this is my favorite thing. By the way, what's coming up here? This is my favorite moment in the history of television. Go ahead.
guys like you in the middle. It's the beta male orbiters that say, she's amazing, you're a misogynistic pig. Because I don't know what that is.
Bro, I can't believe he called Piers Morgan a beta male orbiter on like normie TV. That's fucking crazy. I can't believe it. Like internet speak is mainstream now. Like this is 4chan come to life. This is like if 4chan from 2016 were a person. It's come to life. It's crazy to watch as somebody who has somewhat of a memory and kind of lived through the changes. Like I'm at this weird age in the middle where I remember the old social order of like everybody gets along and racism is bad. And then I kind of watched it change over to wokeness. And now I watched like the seeds of the pushback grow and grow and grow. And now I talk to Zoomers and it's just like, yeah, that's sad. I've watched. I'm just like well positioned in the timeline to have like seen the changeover in real time, and it's just like insane to watch as like internet speak has become part of the mainstream political discourse, and that's true on the left, by the way. All this like weird gender nonsense started as like Tumblr nonsense. So it's like I don't know. Historians are gonna have to like study this shit someday and figure out like how this happened, how like the weirdest fucking subcultures on the internet ended up becoming like wildly mainstream all of a sudden. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
I guess
Well, come on. Let me explain to you what I think it is. I think when a 27-year-old guy who's never got laid, never had a meaningful relationship with a woman, says that women shouldn't be allowed to vote, they should stay at home, that all they do is fantasize about being raped and being beaten up. That's what they want. That they're annoying, that they get fat, that they get ugly.
Oh, it's the shrug.
That's a misogynist. Now, you may not understand it because your knowledge of women is so incredibly tiny, but actually, you are the embodiment of a misogynist. It couldn't be clearer. And if I was in a way.
You see how he just doesn't give a fuck? See how he just doesn't care at all? This is what I'm saying. This is the old media has no idea how to deal with these new media guys. By the way, I meant to say this at the opening monologue, but this is a conversation between boomer dads and Zoomer sons that's playing out at kitchen tables all across America. All across America. Like the boomer post-World War II consensus social order is collapsing in real time, and they don't know how to handle it. They don't have any idea how to respond to this in a meaningful argument. Like they only have shame, name calling, ostracism. That's it. They have no meaningful, logical way of engaging with it. And it's crazy because like you see this, like the left really just like does not have strong advocates who could speak extemporaneously for long periods of time off the top of their head, like Nick can. Like the thing is, like he believes everything he's saying, and it just comes right off the top of his head. Now, whether or not a lot of people think he's like deliberately disingenuous, or he's lying, or whatever, or that he's like misrepresenting his views, or in certain, and I do agree. Well, you pointed out there are certain areas where, especially when he's speaking about things like the Holocaust, where he'll kind of like be, sneaky and evasive and like feign agnosticism and kind of like downplay some of his views in certain environments. And you see that in this interview. But the point is he speaks extemporaneously off the top of his head. And all of this stuff is coming from the heart. Like he's deeply, deeply, deeply versed in the things that he speaks about. Now, there's people on the left. Nobody on the left really looks like that. There's no corresponding figure on the left that speaks this way. Like a lot of them have to be rehearsed, or they rely on, a lot of these debaters are relying on, they're being fed research in real time, and I don't know. Like remember the fucking internet debate culture is mostly about talking really fast and being snide and snarky and like talking over people. Like there's no fucking discourse happening. I don't know if they actually have the fundamental arguments. I think they're just taking it for granted that ists and phobes are bad. I don't think I I think the discourse as it has existed in the past decade has relied on a shared understanding that ists and phobes are bad. And I think the new generation coming up has completely jettisoned that. So you're going to have to start from first principles. I don't think there's any intellectual strength on the left prepared to do something like that. Go ahead.
Hey, you have the deep-rooted misogyny of some of the actual boomers I know. Yet here you are, 27 years old. And most of the current studies show that a lot of men are really disenfranchised from society, no longer have physical relationships with women if they've ever had them, never associate with women, and build up instinctively misogynist views about women.
He's so close. Oh, do you see that? He almost got there. Did you see that? He's so close. So close. Go ahead.
And I fear you're in that position. You're just a bit of a lonely guy who wants to get laid and can't for whatever reason. And it's made you bitter about women. And I don't know where that's come from, but it's fascinating.
No. See, here's the thing. First of all, you're very caught up in the labels. It's always, you're a racist, you're a misogynist.
You said
these
were
words
a racist.
mean nothing to me. Oh, hang
you
on.
gave
Whoa,
yourself,
can I respond?
You gave yourself the label.
What is this?
You said, I am a racist. I didn't give you the label.
Okay.
You said, Nick Fuentes, I am.
So this is the old school. This is the era of media that Piers comes from. This is the old school cable news. What is up? Okay, there we go. We got my mic back, everybody. We got it back. We got it back. Isn't that crazy that that happens every fucking broadcast? Jesus Christ. I gotta get I just recently upgraded to StreamYard, so probably next broadcast we're gonna be probably using StreamYard. So I appreciate you guys letting me know that my fucking audio went out. This is just something that I have to deal with now for whatever reason. That's okay. We'll just clip this part out, I guess. I figured out. I'm glad you guys are still here. But thanks, buddy. Weasel, friend of the channel. What's up, buddy? So here we go. We're gonna do some more of these clip reactions, and we're just gonna go through it. We're just gonna keep going through it. I don't remember what I was saying, so it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
May racist.
Calm down. Calm down.
Did you or didn't you?
It's okay.
Did you?
Yeah, see, this is the classic cable news way of speaking to people, where you just talk and interrupt people and talk over them and deliberately misunderstand their points and all this stuff, right? Then, of course, Nick handles that masterfully by just saying, calm down, it's not that serious. Which, by the way, I do not understand how Piers Morgan walked away from this feeling like it went well for him. I think this was a complete disaster. I do think there are some clips that are going to come out of this that are going to reflect really poorly and that are going to be like ho-scaring clips. Like, I don't know what the female voter backlash from this is going to be, but I think in the immediate short term, I think if you watch the whole thing in context, which very few people will do, if you watch the whole thing in context, I think Piers Morgan comes out looking horribly. I do think a lot of the clips that come out of this are going to be very ho-scaring. So we'll see what this does to young women as a voter base. If this like mobilizes people, or if they can. I mean, that's the thing. It's like Nick Fuentes has kind of been crowned bad guy of the week. This is the same thing they did with Andrew Tate a few years ago and Jordan Peterson before that, where they just crowned somebody bad guy of the week. I think what the issue is, so intellectually, so a lot of young guys started on Ben Shapiro and then broke with him over Israel because he wasn't far right enough, and they went into Nick Fuentes. I guess what I'm saying is eventually this generation coming up is going to break with Nick Fuentes because he's not extreme enough, and they're going to go for the next guy. I think that's really what I'm talking about here. Is like this process will continue if you don't figure out a meaningful, logical argument or propose an alternative worldview to what they're saying. There's already people, I mentioned this on Ironcast last night. Shout out to Ironcast. There were people, I was watching the chat. There are already people in the chat who were saying Nick has kissed the wall, which is basically, the long story short, that's a way of saying that he's on the payroll of Israel, which is a super big deal on the dissident right. If you're like if you're an Israel, a shill for Israel, that's like a bad thing. Because then you're a propagandist essentially for worldwide Jewry or whatever. And so that's like their main enemy over there. So that's a bad thing. So basically they're saying that he's, essentially he's not hardcore enough. He's a Fed. He's a plant. He's part of the establishment. He's not really a representative of the rebellious dissident right. So there's already some people who think that. And I've let a lot of people with far-right views who are not necessarily Fuentes fans. I want to be clear. He's a symptom of a broader zeitgeist shift. He is not the cause. Okay, this is not a charismatic movement led by one guy. This is a broad shift in the sentiments of a significant percentage of the voting public. And they are going to go with whoever they feel represents their interests the best. So it's not he did not cause this. He's just currently found a way to harness it. And I think part of it is like he's no longer being suppressed by Charlie Kirk. The other thing, too, is that this is only possible in a vacuum where Charlie Kirk is no longer deliberately suppressing Nick Fuentes. So that's also relevant context. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
so
here's
I
the
didn't
thing.
give you the label. You did.
Why are you yelling at me?
Because you're trying to
Why are you
infer
screaming at me?
something that didn't happen. You said, I gave you the label of being a racist.
Man.
No, you did. You said, I'm a racist. You
Okay.
gave yourself the label.
Great.
You're going to have to tone it down a little, all right? You're going to have to bring it down a notch and relax. This is just an interview, okay? Please calm down. All I said is you're hung up. I didn't say you gave me that. Maybe I did.
You did.
But here's what I mean. What I mean is you're just hung up on proving you're a misogynist. Okay, you're a racist. Okay, you denied the Holocaust. And I'm not about the labels,
You didn't
man.
deny
I'm
the
just
Holocaust.
past that.
As I said to you, look, Nick, I just wanted to go over the stuff that everyone uses out there about you and get you to respond. And we are getting, I think, a long way in this interview.
Okay.
Right? You didn't deny the Holocaust. You accepted there's been a Holocaust of at least 6 million Jews.
I'm a maximalist. I'm a Holocaust.
That is significant.
I think it's more.
You did admit you're a racist, and you have spelled out a thought process about women, which is the purest definition of misogyny that I've ever seen. And you've said you're not gay. So we're getting somewhere.
Yeah. Well, look, and I own the labels, okay? But I just don't care that much about them.
That's fine.
I feel like the whole
I'm not saying
this
you
is
have,
like a weird.
I'm not saying you have to care, Nick.
This is what I'm saying. It's like he doesn't have another argument if he's not using the labels. Like he doesn't. I think what Nick is saying here is, okay, I hear you. Yes, I am an ist. I am a phobe. I am all the things you want to call me. What's your argument, though? And he doesn't have a follow-up. And this is what I'm saying about this generation of media figures. I don't think they have a follow-up argument. I don't think they have any idea what to do about this. I don't think they have any idea how to meaningfully meet these arguments at all. And there's a lot of people who agree with them, and they don't have any way to reach them. They actually can't articulate it. So you're back. Runaway Vagabond, friend of the channel. I have no problem with Nick. Yeah, he's just part of the zeitgeist now. So we got to deal with this. I would deal with this. A lot of people are going to say that he's like a horrible, awful, evil racist. But like at the end of the day, he speaks for a lot of people. So I think you have to take him seriously. I mean, it's not enough to call him like a gay Nazi catboy anymore. You have to, you have to actually engage with what he's saying in a meaningful way. Or at least address the fact, why are there so many people who agree with him? Let's say everything he's saying is completely false and untrue. Why are there so many people who agree with him? What's going on with that? There's a phenomenon growing here, and you might want to wonder why, and you might want to wonder how it's going to play out in electoral politics. And to the people who think that like JD Vance becoming president is going to fix all this, dude, you just don't really understand where we are. All right, you just don't really understand where we are. This is a watershed. This is a watershed moment. So I'm like the gradual mainstreaming of Nick Fuentes. I don't know what the downstream consequences of that are going to be, but I mean, the discourse has completely shifted. So go ahead.
You don't have to care about any of it. I promise you. Right? That's not why I got you on the show. I wanted to give you a fair crack, which I think I have. We've gone over a lot of stuff. We've got a bit more to go on. I genuinely don't think I've ambushed you with anything you couldn't have been expecting.
No.
I don't think I've been overtly hostile. In fact, when you've asked me to calm down, I've calmed.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's like, I just think it seems pretty obvious to me Nick is coming off a lot more favorably than Piers. I think Piers came out of the gates like trying to get him, trying to trip him up, trying to trigger him emotionally. What's crazy is the stuff that he said that I think was designed to trigger Nick emotionally, like, oh, you're an incel, you don't get laid, hurdy-dirty-dur. Like, he's thinking inside the old framework. Nick's chat is meaner to him than Piers was. Like, I mean, just being honest, like, nothing he said even remotely fazed him. I think they just have absolutely no way. The legacy media has no way to handle these new media guys who don't care about being called racist anymore. I mean, that just means nothing to them. It washes right off their back. And the fact is, they're just, I think, grossly unprepared to handle this argument. Let's see. Strider. Nick just comes off as an edgelord, try hard, but his monologue about black people and minorities a few months ago was spot on. Yeah, we're going to cover that in a second. Wait, if Nick doesn't have to care about labels, why is Piers so obsessed with pinning him on Nick? Right, he doesn't understand why it's not working. I think he doesn't understand, because Piers thinks that's the kill shot. He thinks that's all he has to do because he's still operating in the zeitgeist of 10 years ago, where if you got labeled a racist, your career was over. What he doesn't understand is Nick has no corporate sponsorship. He's been debagged. He's been put on the no-fly list. He's already been canceled. They're already calling him a Nazi. It's already over. He's already a gay Nazi catboy. And he has emerged from all that kind of unscathed. He's more popular than ever now. So he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand what he's dealing with. He just doesn't know. So he doesn't understand why this is not working. So he's just trying the same strategy over and over again. Like, he's squirting holy water on the vampire and it's not working, but he doesn't have a second idea. So he's going to keep squirting. See, go ahead. Actually, wait, hold on. This is a funny chat. Theocracy catchphrase merch idea. End interruption. Go ahead. That's true. Go ahead, Nick Fuentes.
But
this clip is more kind of like women stuff, but it's also like religious stuff. So this is going to be representative. Go ahead.
Increasingly disillusioned, I think it'd be fair to say. Let's play a recent clip from you about Trump.
We played this game in the first.
It bases instincts of its followers. It's really sad. I mean, do you think you're the best person, Nick Fuentes, to lecture people about performative cruelty?
Nah, I don't want to. Yeah.
Make it a joke. They make it glib. And they do that because they're.
Do you accept you are a white supremacist?
No, absolutely not.
You don't think white people are superior to black people?
No, I'm a Christian, so I believe everybody is equal before God.
Including women?
Yes.
So you give women equal rights, then?
No.
You see what I'm saying? He just doesn't get it. He just doesn't understand what he's dealing with. But look at the difference. I'm telling you, this guy is a different breed of cat, though. Watch how he handles the discussion. He actually starts asking Piers questions to try to flesh out his worldview so he can get who he's dealing with, and then finds a weak point where he can push. Go ahead.
Right. No. Great. Okay. So you just talked a lot of bullshit, didn't you?
No. Why are you like mad about this? No.
You want women to be treated equally before God, but you don't want to give them equal rights.
Yeah, because women
Okay,
and men
that's
are
fine.
different.
Remember, to the liberal social order, equal means same. And Nick is operating from a framework where equal can also mean different. Equal human dignity does not mean same. It can mean different. But to Piers, equal and same mean the same thing. He doesn't have a way. He's still operating from this framework. Even though he's saying, I believe in two genders, he's still operating from the framework that men and women are interchangeable cogs in the capitalist machine. So he'll kind of like talking out of both sides of his mouth. He'll say that men and women are different. He'll say he doesn't believe in trans or whatever, but he still believes all of the retarded reality-defying beliefs that made trans in the mainstream possible. Like, he still believes all of the incremental beliefs. Like, he hasn't taken men and women being different to its logical conclusion yet. He still is operating out of the cognitive dissonance of the current liberal social order. And Nick tears this apart masterfully. Go ahead.
You
It's your
believe there are
view.
two genders?
It's your view.
Do you think there's two genders?
I do think there are two genders, yes.
Okay. And so you mean there's distinction. There are two distinct genders.
I think we should all have the same rights to...
Well, if they're meaningfully distinct, biologically distinct, and they have different social and biological roles, I think it would follow that we would treat them a little bit differently in the law.
Do you think
That's
the Catholic
me, though.
Church...
Do you see how easy that was? Just retard. And by the way, he has no response. He has no logical argument to that. He has no way to respond. He just immediately goes back to shaming, as we're going to see. Go ahead.
Church's teachings reflect that?
I do. Yeah, there's
Really?
no female priests. Have you ever seen that?
Do you think that the Catholic Church thinks all women should be deprived of the vote?
Yeah, I think so.
No, they don't.
I think they do, yeah.
I don't think the Catholic Church has a doctrine on who should not vote. It's like it includes. The Catholic Church exists in countries where nobody votes. So you know what I mean. So I don't think there's any meaningful distinction on that. I think you could argue if men and women like about who should vote and who not. I'm a hereditary monarchy curious. As you know, that's where I'm kind of falling out on this. I think a monarchy backed by a strong church and a strong merchant class is probably the way to go, and a strict, or maybe a Hamiltonian meritocratic aristocracy. I don't know. Hamilton had this fun idea. He brought up the Constitutional Convention that was pretty good. I don't know, man, but I don't think, you know me, I don't think anybody should vote. Anyway, go ahead.
You think the Catholic Church position is women shouldn't be allowed to vote?
I think so, yeah,
No.
but I'm not positive.
No, it's bullshit.
Well, it should be.
It should be. So if you were Pope, that's what you do. You could be Pope because you're celibate.
That's true. And I'm also from Chicago, like the Pope. But look,
Right.
I mean, women, it says in the Bible that women have no authority over men and they can't teach men.
This
And
is where things are going to get interesting. Okay. And I think this next exchange here epitomizes the difference between boomer Catholics and Zoomer Catholics. This is actually correct, because technically what you have is what I would view as a quintessential boomer Catholic and a quintessential Zoomer Catholic in dialogue, which is very interesting. This is very interesting. So we're going to watch this. This is fun. Go ahead.
that's why there's no female priests.
It says a lot of
So I
things
don't
in the
think
Bible.
the Catholic-
I mean, do you take every
Okay.
word of the Bible as sacrosanct?
Well, yeah, it's inspired scripture.
That's all of
But I
it
mean,
is
is this now
all of it is
a
sacrosanct.
theological debate? Well, it is Catholic doctrine that women should not lead and teach. I mean, you're not interacting with what I'm saying. Why can't women be priests?
They should be.
Okay, well, you're not Catholic. That's not a
I
Catholic
am
position.
a Catholic. Many things I disagree with the Catholic Church.
Okay. Well, that kind of is contrary because the whole basis
really?
of being Catholic is
No.
accepting. It's accepting the
a
authority
member,
of the pontiff.
You can be a member of a religion and disagree with parts of that religion. Perfectly reasonable.
You could be, well, yeah. I mean, you could say
Unless you're an
that, but it wouldn't
extremist.
be true.
Unless you're an extremist. So, but to be clear, under Pierce's framework, an extremist is someone who believes what they say they believe. When they go, someone who actually believes the religion they claim to follow. Whereas Piers is like, for Piers, it's like a buffet. And this is the way boomers practice Catholicism, by the way. I'm just going to be real with you. From what I've seen, this is the way boomers do it. It's like, I'll take a little bit of this, I'll take a little bit of that. We'll have guitars at the mass. We'll all hold hands. We're going to get real groovy. Everything's fine. Let's just modernize the church. Who cares? And then Zoomers are like, Deus Vult. Yeah, dude. No, they're in a completely different place. Zoomers, in my experience, prefer a lot more traditional practice. They're the ones who are veiling. They're the ones who are going to Latin masses. They're the ones who are actually having families. They're the ones who are doing celibacy before marriage. Boomers are like fucking whatever. Like they're not that interested in anything approximating traditional doctrine, and they don't really care if the church changes or not. They're all about just gonna take what I believe. I'm gonna take whatever beliefs from this church agree with the liberal social order, and I'll believe those. And then if it disagrees with the liberal social order, I'm gonna jettison it. That's it. Anything that disagrees with the liberal social order, or anything that doesn't align with current modern political sensibilities, I'm just gonna get rid of. And that's the difference. That's the difference. I think the younger generation we're seeing this big resurgence where young people are going back to the church and they're taking their religious practice very seriously. The whole point is you're not supposed to change the church to match your sensibilities. You're supposed to change your sensibilities to match the church. Because if your idea of religion is only up to your sensibilities, then your concept of God is indistinguishable from your ego. Isn't it a miracle that God happens to agree with you on everything? Either you have to believe that God agrees with you on everything, or you have to believe that you are smarter than God. God thinks what the church says God thinks, and you disagree because you're smarter, I guess. All right, so those are your only options. Either God agrees with you on everything and agrees with your sensibilities and disagrees with the church, or you're smarter than God. That's it. There's only two choices. And I think what Nick is articulating here is you are supposed to change your sensibilities to match God. You're not supposed to change God, your concept of God, to match your sensibilities. This is why I ask. I run into people all the time who are like LA spiritual or whatever, and they're just like, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. I just do whatever I want. And I'm just like, all right. What does God make you do that you don't want to do? And the answer is always nothing. God is just whatever they think it is, right? Whereas with me, God, I'm biased because I actually am Catholic, but God makes me do all kinds of stuff I don't want to do. I don't want to get up early and leave my house on Sunday. I don't want to go, to confession and tell a priest all the dumb things I've done. I don't want to hear his judgment. I don't want to hear what he thinks I should do better. I don't want to take time out of my day to pray every day. I got shit to do. I don't want to not beat off to porn every second of the day. I don't want to not have ravenous, amounts of promiscuous sex. I don't want to not do orgies. I don't want to not do any of that, but I don't do that because God says don't do it. And it's better for you in the long run if you do what God says. But again, this is the same thing as this is the same thing as their celibacy conversation earlier. Actually, if you're a serious Catholic, it should not be a surprise to you that if you believe that Nick is a serious Catholic, that it should not be a surprise to you that he's celibate before marriage. Now, I think in Nick's particular case, it is cope for the fact that he's, one, obviously a closeted homosexual. Two, here's the thing. I think he could probably get pussy because he actually does have groupies, believe it or not, because of the show. So if he were actually really genuinely interested in crushing pussy, it would not be hard for him to do. There's a lot of groipettes. One account I saw was Grippy Groipet, which is, oh God, that's too graphic. I don't want to think about that, but right to Piers Morgan, he's like him being Catholic does not preclude, Nick being Catholic does not preclude him running out and just crushing pussy. You see what I'm saying? It does not. That's not precluded. He doesn't. It shouldn't matter to him. So, this is I think the difference between young people who are going back to not just Catholicism but Orthodox. The Orthodox is seeing a lot of people come back, and also high church Protestantism. That not the ones that are overrun by wokeness, but the high church. People are opting for religion that's more traditional and more ceremonial religious practice. I've seen apparently a lot of women are going back to non-denominational churches, which tend to be a little more hippy-dippy and free-flowing. But yeah, in general, it's the more traditional religious practices that are growing. And I guarantee you, I talked to I talked to the Zoomer girls at church, and they are like very based. That's who's veiling. That's who's like covering their hair, which is optional. You don't have to do that. And if you ask them what they think about women voting, they're furious about it. They're mad at men because they have to vote. It's like men are not honoring their responsibility by putting women in a position where they have to vote. Like, I mean, I'm telling you, the zeitgeist shift on this is fucking real. And Zoomers are not in touch with it. And I think millennials, particularly millennial white women, have gotten very, very, very comfortable in the social order where if they don't like something, they can just shriek about it and somebody will move in. And it's to Nick's point, it's the beta male orbiters that are enforcing the liberal social order, that are enforcing this idea that being an ist or a phobe is the worst thing you can be. It's the beta male orbiters who are enforcing this. It's the Piers Morgans of the world who are enforcing this. And this will be particularly hilarious. We're going to watch a little more of this clip, and then I want to show you guys something, because this is fun, and then we're going to get back to it.
For an extremist, you can't.
Okay.
Obviously, you never deviate.
That's just not rigorous.
You never
That's just
deviate if
sloppy.
you're an extremist. But even the Constitution's been amended, was it 27 times?
Right, but the Constitution's not inspired scripture. So he actually asked him, it's like, do you think that the Bible is inerrant? And he's like, yeah, I think it's inspired scripture. And then Piers is like, but you can just kind of take some stuff and leave some stuff. Like, look at the Constitution. By the way, Constitution, not inspired scripture, right? So that's why you actually are supposed to take inspired scripture seriously. Yeah, you are supposed to consider it the word of God, right? You are supposed to take that seriously. That does matter. You aren't supposed to treat it like a buffet and kind of like take it or leave it. You're supposed to take that seriously. And the doctrines that are extrapolated from it, you're supposed to follow them to the letter. That's the rule. Right. That doesn't make you an extremist. That makes you somebody who's like actually practicing the religion. You know, I think the other thing too is like, I think but this is pretty typical of what I hear from like wishy-washy bullshit boomers. And this is why, the church is like not as strong as it maybe could be or should be, and why things got so wishy-washy, why church attendance was down for so long, because it wasn't really offering anything. There was no meaningful difference between what you would hear at the church and what you could get from just like Democrat politics or just like the regular liberal social order. So, and that's, yeah. But
People talk about this sacrosanct document. It's been amended 27 times.
Goodness.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, is like to speak about scripture that way is to be clear, this is a heresy. Just to be absolutely clear. This is like flagrantly heretical for him to claim to be a Catholic and then to also say the things he's saying. So no, this is not a good thing, especially not as a public figure. This is like, I mean, you can believe whatever you want, Piers Morgan, you're allowed to, but like you're not representing the church when you say that. So
This is not rigorous intellectually. This is very
just a statement of fact.
Theology. Okay. But it's fine. Where were we? We're talking about Trump and somehow we got into
Trump.
you're white knighting for women's rights.
On Trump, well, I think women should have the same rights as you and I. You don't. That's fine.
Put on the pink hat, bro. Put on the pink hat. We're waiting.
What's the pink hat for?
For the march, for the women's march. Are we going to see you at the women's march protesting for women's rights and all that?
I think women should have equal rights to men. Period.
You carry tampons in case your female friends get a period or something? Like, it's crazy. The white knighting is
I'd have no problem
diabolical.
giving a female friend a tampon. Have you? I don't suppose you've ever seen a tampon, have you?
Gross. Absolutely not.
You think
Get away from me.
tampons are gross?
Yeah, they're filled with period blood.
I cannot believe this happened on television. I love this timeline. Chat, I love that. W's in the chat for this timeline, guys. Oh my God. I'm so happy. I'm so happy I got to live through that. Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. So we have Piers Morgan trying to crown himself king of the white knights and king of the male feminists. Oh, geez. And yeah, it's just not flying. Now, to be fair, like, this is a part of this is like a generational thing. Like, women were a lot nicer when Piers Morgan was like at his peak white knighting years. But yeah, this is just, oh God, he's just retarded. I can't watch any more of this clip. Okay. Let's see that one. Let's see, which one do I want to do? I actually want to show you guys. I want to show you guys something. So Piers Morgan, King of the White Knights, I want to show you guys some. I actually like, because Twitter is Twitter. They actually dug up some clips of Piers Morgan's wife talking about him, which is stupendous. So we're going to dive into that in a second here. Let me make sure. I want to find another one. There was another one I had that was pretty good. Let's see if I could find that. And just saving too many damn clips. That's okay. That's okay. We don't need all of them. This one still makes the point. But yeah, basically we got to the, let's see, this one still makes the point. So I'll just show this. So this is some quotes, some tabloid quotes that Piers Morgan's wife has described. Basically Piers Morgan reveals he met his wife Celia Walden after he bombed while giving a speech, and she laughed at his discomfort. And let's see. Being married to Piers is basically one very long eye roll. But what people don't realize about Piers is he's usually very quiet at home, but he's exhausted himself doing whatever he's... The only reason I am sad about him leaving GMB, well, that and the fact that I wake up and there he is staring back at me morning after morning. This is very telling. I actually had friends who had a crush on Piers, and I told her she was mad. But we arranged to meet for an interview, and Piers managed to string it out over the course of 4 or 5 different meetings. He kept saying, yeah, there are a few things he didn't quite get. And each of these meetings ended up in us having more and more alcohol until eventually he declared his real motivations and said, you tick every single one of my boxes. And I said, well, that's weird because you don't tick any of mine. And now look at me, Kira sigh. Following their first boozy lunch, let's see. After the interview, apparently Piers Morgan started buying her a bunch of presents. And, oh yeah, there's a lot more of this. There's a lot more of this if you want to look at Piers Morgan's wife. Apparently there's some discourse about she took a 6-week break from their marriage at one point. There's a lot going on. So with Piers, as far as like the white knighting stuff goes, the call is coming from inside the house, buddy. I'm sorry to say. It sucks because I had a whole nother thing pulled up. This is what's fucking frustrating about this is I have like 8,000 tabs open right now. This is the work I do for you people. I have like 8,000 tabs open right now, and periodically I just lose the exact thing I happen to be looking for. And then if I go back through my history, I have 8,000 tabs. I have 80,000 in my history to pull through. So yes, that's exactly the point. Weasel's pulling up. It sounds like a miserable relationship. That's right. He is bending over backwards to try to impress this much hotter woman 10 years younger than them. And she is just openly disrespects him. She openly flirts with other men. She openly talks about other men she would like to have sex with. This is sort of like a mirror of the Akash Singh situation. If you have longtime viewers of the channel will remember the Akash Singh situation. Basically, Piers Morgan has like an Akash Singh style relationship. That's all you need to know about this. So this whole discourse about him coming out and being like, oh, women are so wonderful and we should like respect them and we should honor them and we should buy them presents and we should tell them they're pretty. Like you see what that actually gets. You see what that actually yields to you in practice. Remember guys, your level is not the hottest girl you can pull. Your level is a girl you can pull who's actually going to respect you. You are way better off with a mid who likes you, respects you, thinks what you're doing is cool and wants to help. That's what you should be looking for. You should not be trying to get with like just like some girl you think is going to look good in pictures. Like look for somebody who respects you, who likes you, who wants to hang out with you, who thinks what you do is cool and wants to help. That's what you're looking for. That's what you're looking for. Genuine enthusiasm. I'm telling you, if you fuck with a woman who has genuine enthusiasm and is genuinely psyched to be around you, it's going to make a big difference. If you have to deal with one of these women that you have to bribe to be around you, your entire life is going to be miserable. Look at Akash Singh, look at Piers Morgan. And by the way, what's crazy, both of these guys are in these kind of simp-style relationships, and both of them are like the world's biggest white knights and the world's biggest advocates for the women. And this is kind of what Nick was actually getting at. This was his point. The Chads understand women and the incels understand women, but these guys in the middle, which he colloquially called beta male orbiters, have no fucking clue. They have no fucking clue. They don't even see what's going on. They don't even see it. You know, they don't even see it. Let's see. And then this is, so we're going to go over a couple more attempts that Piers had to ambush Nick. So we're going to do this one. God damn it. I wish I had that other tab. That's so frustrating. Let's see. I swear to God I could find this. It's just like, I'm like, how did I not save that? I know I did, but let's see. Yeah, but basically his wife hates him and he's clearly interested in other men. So it's like, it's just horrible to watch. That's okay. I'll find it. It's okay. I'll pull up that tab some other time. I'll repost it on Twitter. That'll be fun. All right, guys, let's go and do more of, this is perhaps the most clear attempt for Piers to ambush Nick and try to get him on his heels, and he plays a clip that a lot of us have seen, and what I think from Piers Morgan's perspective, this is the most damning clip, and from the perspective of the liberal social order, this is the one most clearly. It's just like a person would not say what Nick says in this clip if they did not want to be called a racist. The difference is, and I think what he's failing to grapple with here, is that his generation does not give a shit about being called a racist. That's over now. And this is the most clear, stark example of that. So we're gonna play right here.
Women and blacks. Let's just take a listen.
They're always coming up with, no, it's not the Jews. No, it's not women. No, it's not blacks. It's actually really complicated. No, it fucking isn't at all. Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. And we would live in paradise. It's that simple.
Okay. Would you like to clarify what you meant there?
That's all true. That's 100% true. Everything I said in that.
By the way, look
true.
at the edits
So
people are
that,
making of this.
blacks need to
Look
be
at the way that this is
for the
being
most part.
edited.
Yes.
It's the one and only Digo Double G.
That's copyrighted music. But the point is, you see what I'm saying? Look at the way people are responding to this. Piers Morgan, you can tell by the way he's looking. He's like, bam, gotcha, owned, game, set, match, checkmate. I've defeated you. I have proven to Jesus and everybody that you indeed are racist. And he's like, that's correct. Do you have another argument? That's where we're at in the discourse, guys. Yeah, that's where we're at in the discourse. It's completely changed. Yeah, it's completely shifted. Like, we're pretty much, like, I mean, I'm telling you, you're not going to be able to win that way. And the thing is, I don't think they ever learned any actual arguments for why that's bad. You know, meanwhile, I mean, again, there's not a... I think it's like the discourse of like how we got here is extremely helpful. Like, I mean, Nick is a reaction and a response to a real problem of like economic displacement, particularly among white men. So Nick is 27. So over the last like 20 years of his life, he's watched his country get demonstrably worse. He's watched the demographics shift really significantly. Employment opportunities have dried up. Education has gotten more expensive and less effective. The dollar doesn't go as far. Rents have gone up. All of this is happening. And the other thing is like he's dealing with just the reality on the ground that because of economic factors, because of propaganda, because of like the feminist social order, like dating has become basically impossible. And I think he's speaking for a lot of young guys who just have no reason to buy in to the system because they're not going to get anything out of it. They watched millennials become debt slaves. Like they know they look around and there's people my age, people like 30 plus who are single, who are not economically stable, who are not. The millennial response was, let's whine about it until we get socialism. And Gen Z has a different response. They're like, nah, we're going to flip the table over. Because, like, I think Like, I think a lot of them are just like, they watch millennials become like, genetic dead ends and debt slaves and like become, useless, eternal children. Half millennials have fucking Peter Pan syndrome. They're like, where are the serious millennial political thinkers, the really serious millennial movers and shakers? What have we done to, shift the culture except for the worse? And then remember, all of their teachers were millennials. So to the extent that the millennials did propagate the social order, it was propagating wokeness and like spreading that into the school system. And I gotta be honest, like the guys that Nick Fuentes speaks for find that extremely oppressive. And let's see. So actually, we have a couple of clips here that I still want to get to. Let's see. That are, I think I'm going to skip ahead because a lot of these I already covered. So we're going to go to, I'm going to skip ahead to, devastating. Devastating. I can't get over Piers Morgan's wife treating him like dog shit, man. And what's crazy is he like talked all that shit. He talked all that shit. And then the internet found it in like 3 seconds. That's crazy. Like, this is a completely different social order, I'm telling you. It's exciting stuff. So we're gonna go over like Nick on his show reacting to how he thought the debate went. And so there's a couple of these. There's a couple of these clips where he's interacting on a show, interacting with super chatters and stuff. Let's see, what is this one? Oh yeah, it's different. Okay, cool. Go ahead.
Actually, I don't know. It's funny because during the interview and afterward, he seemed like he thought it went his way.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that assessment.
I think he saw the comments on YouTube and on X, and then he started freaking out on Twitter and replying to everybody. And I don't think it got the reaction that he thought it would.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's actually, I have one of his tweets, so I might be able to pull that up. That might be fun. But yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Once Piers Morgan, I really think during and after the interview, he thought he had absolutely knocked it out of the park. He was like, I'm going to be the guy who took out Nick Fuentes. My wife might spend the night with me instead of her boyfriend. My wife's boyfriend might give her permission to spend the night with me today. I might not have to sit in the cuck chair. He was really excited, right? He was really excited. And then he saw the comments and he saw the online Discord. Guys, the fucking Myron Gaines was in the chat. Myron Gaines was in the live chat. This was a huge fucking event while it was happening. And I had to go live right after. My views were way fucking down. And then I didn't want to talk about what I was going to talk about. I wanted to fucking talk about this. But I wasn't ready for it because the fucking clips weren't out yet. Anyway. But yeah. This is like, we have jobs and families and go by anonymous names on the internet. That's right. That's right. Weasel gets it. Well, that's the thing. It's like, I think he speaks. I think one thing I've learned about the Zoomers in particular, a lot of these like disenfranchised Zoomers that are like Fuentes fans that he speaks for, is that they're very quiet about it. They're careful. They're very careful about who they open up to because they know that their political beliefs, if they say them, they can get in trouble. If they say them to the wrong person, they can get in trouble or people will freak out. They know that. And they'll kind of test you. Like I've talked to a lot of these guys and they'll ask me like subtle questions. They'll be like, so what do you think about Ben Shapiro? And then they'll wait, right? They'll like ask little test questions to see if you're like a safe person to talk to. See if it's like safe to explore like edgier political issues with you. They'll like test you a little bit and then they'll get into it. And I'm telling you, not all of these guys are Fuentes fans. This is the thing that I want to really drive home is he is not the cause of this. He is a symptom of a much larger shift. And eventually he will be too tame and too mainstream and his audience will leave him for something more extreme. That will happen eventually. That is the natural life cycle. He's catching a lot of cast off now from guys who used to watch Ben Shapiro or they used to watch Charlie Kirk. Now they watch him because those guys weren't honest enough about what they feel like the real problems are. They weren't honest about, whether it's like the Israel issue or whatever. Typically, they're talking about the Israel issue, but a lot of them are like very concerned about immigration, and they didn't feel like Charlie Kirk or Ben Shapiro were hardline enough on the issues of Israel and immigration. And eventually, I think they're going to feel like Nick Fuentes is not hardline enough on those issues. But yeah, anyway, let's hear the rest of what he has to say.
And that's very telling. It ain't 2015 anymore, buddy. Different generation, and it's a different era. It's a new time. This is the year of the Groiper, year of the frog, pal. That's the thing. A lot of these boomers, not only is there a generational divide in how we speak to each other and how we talk about these issues, but it's a different world. It's a different conversation. And the old playbook where they call you racist, they call you a misogynist, they call you an anti-Semite, and they expect that everybody is going to fall in line. It doesn't work like that anymore. It's 2025. This is a new chapter. And I'll talk about what I mean by that and why I think that is. But suffice to say, he came out of it feeling very confident, and then I think he was very surprised by some of the feedback. Well, it's a new world.
Yeah, and
Actually,
I think this is going to catch a lot of people off guard. It's going to catch a lot of people off guard. This is something that I've been talking about for years, and I've been really vocal about it since September. Which is, by the way, if you want, I should have pulled up the link, the video clip of my crash out. I crashed out on Ironcast about this issue not too long ago. About like September, like right after Charlie Kirk's assassination. I was crashing out about this, and I was trying to tell people, I was like, hey, this is going to be a serious problem. And I had been trying to talk to, leftists about this for years, and that there's going to be a significant shift. Like eventually, it's going to be like a Boy Who Cried Wolf thing. Like eventually you're going to devalue these insults, these ists and phobes, racist, sexist, misogynist, transphobe, Nazi, whatever. You're going to devalue these words to the point that people are not going to care anymore. And then you're going to you're going to create the actual problem that you're terrified of. You're actually going to create it. Now, you're trying to tell people this is like, they just don't want to believe it. They don't understand how the social order is completely eroded. And I've talked to a lot of these like Zoomers, because I'll just like listen to them. And then when they start, a lot of times if you talk to a Zoomer who's like very hard right, who thinks Hitler's cool or whatever, and you actually talk to them, they'll just like rattle off like 1800. They'll go on a little monologue where they rattle off a bunch of facts that like I've never heard of in my life, and I have like no meaningful idea how to respond to them, right? And the part of that is because the things that we forget as a culture are the things that everybody knows. And like everybody knew that fascism was bad. Everybody knew that it's bad to be racist, but nobody knew why. And now you've got a bunch of people that only know shame and ostracism when it comes to those subjects. They don't know how to engage in like a meaningful and logical argument. And that's not, so like he's not going to go away until you come up with something, right? So Iron Oxide is here. What's up, buddy? Kayla, friend of the channel, she's here. What's up, buddy? I'm still not sure how I feel about Nick Fuentes. Yeah, I don't know either. It's like, I'm really happy that somebody is finally sticking it to the current social order. He's not strictly speaking wrong about a lot of the things that he talks about. There's definitely truth in it. I don't fucking love his tactics. There's that clip of him at the January 6th rally is pretty gnarly, where he's got an audience full of people that are hanging on his every word, and he screams into a megaphone to disregard the police, and that the Capitol belongs to the people. And it's like, oh, that's what happens when you put this guy in front of a crowd. That's kind of gnarly. That's the thing I worry about. Now, of course, that also led people to think that he might be a Fed, he might be controlled opposition. I think the reality is nobody really knows what to make of the Nick Fuentes phenomenon right now. We're still learning, but I see this as like a manifestation for, if you are trying to keep your thumb on the pulse of where the younger generation is kind of like at politically and economically, this is not a surprise. There's something like this was going to happen. Now, whether or not this particular guy is controlled opposition, or whether this particular guy is a Fed or whatever, or if he's like a force for good or evil, time will tell. Time will tell. I think mainstreaming is going to be the end of him. I think he's going to get discarded for something more extreme. And I think he's also in his wake will emerge a whole crop of influencers who are trying to do something similar to what he's doing, but they don't quite do it as well. And eventually somebody will come along to displace him. So and part of his like villain origin story is from when he was like 18 years old and Ben Shapiro tried deliberately to destroy him back when Ben Shapiro was like a huge deal and he was like hardly anybody. So I mean, this is just like proof of why we always say cancellation does not work, because now they don't have any more tools. He's already been debanked. He's already been put on the no-fly list. He's already been kicked off every major platform except Rumble. Like he's already, they already tried to push him out of the Overton window, and his following is too big now to ignore him. So now I don't. Now I don't know what to make of him either. Like I don't know the answer. I know a lot of people agree with him. That's the thing. So I think that's why he has to be taken seriously, is because a lot of people agree with what he's saying. So and I think it's true. Like the reality is that the new media or the old media landscape has been on the way out for a while. And it's almost certainly dying. And the fact that it has completely failed to adapt to this kind of discourse is a sign that it's obsolete, I think, because this is where it's at now. So you have to be able to grapple with this. If you like don't want him to win, you have to be able to make a better argument. So that's where it's at now. And obviously, Piers Morgan fell apart under scrutiny. This is not a surprise. Piers Morgan is a dork. I would like to see, Piers Morgan, friend of the channel, definitely a dork. I always love reacting to Piers Morgan clips because he is, in fact, a dork. So I don't care if he looks bad. So I have no dog in the fight when I see a Piers Morgan clip, because, like, most of the things that, like, again, a lot of the things that he tried to give meaningful pushback on, he just ended up sounding like a doofus. It's crazy. You could not, like 10 years ago, you could not have imagined a conversation like this happening in the mainstream. It would have been impossible. So this is a fascinating time that we're in. Let's go. Let's see. I don't think he's a Fed. He wouldn't have been banned from every platform if he was. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I guess I would never put it past the federal government to deliberately create controlled opposition. I would never put it past them to do that. We know that they've done that before. Some people say that because he did not do jail time after the January 6th incident, that he must have cut a deal with the feds, and that's what he's been doing since. There's a lot of smart people who think he's a Fed, but I haven't seen concrete evidence of that. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say what's going on with this. I'm kind of agnostic about it. I'm just observing it. And knowing the like, to me, the phenomenon that's interesting is what's caused it and what continues to cause it. So what continues to happen. Like, that's what's interesting to me, is the movement of the shift in the zeitgeist that underlies him. Because I do think his time in the spotlight is temporary. I think he will at some point be replaced by somebody more extreme, but he's on the rise now. And here's the thing. This is going to matter in 2028. This is going to matter in the presidential election. It'll probably matter in the midterms too. I'm interested to see what happens. I'm interested to see where this takes, because he is opposing. This is something a lot of people, we got to keep in mind, because there's clips for this, all this shit, but it's like too much. It's like, so he opposes JD Vance. So JD Vance is kind of being appointed by our billionaire oligarchs to be our next president. Like, that's the idea. The oligarchs that like run the country want JD Vance as their guy, but Nick Fuentes and his faction strongly oppose JD Vance, not just because he's backed by billionaires, but also because he has the Indian wife. They don't love that. So that's not good. So I think he represents a significant threat to the consolidation of right-wing populist sentiment around JD Vance as a candidate. So that's a threat to the billionaire oligarchs and their desires. So that's an interesting that's an interesting dynamic that I don't know how that's going to play out. And I don't think a lot of people on the right are not fully aware of how significant that opposition is and how many people there are that would find, J.D. Vance to be unpalatable or unacceptable because of that stuff being supported by, the Peter Thiels of the world and so on. So being basically appointed by them. So I don't know. I don't know where this is going to go. This is extremely significant and it's going to have implications later. I'm interested to see where it goes. Let's see. All social media platforms inherently have a flaw to the users diversifying their presence on multiple sites. By banning him resolves the issue of unique follower count by being consolidated. Yeah, that's a good point too. Like the fact that his power base is consolidated on Rumble has actually really worked in his favor. He gets huge fucking views for Rumble. Rumble is not an easy platform to grow on. And the fact that he's like consolidated his power there is like really significant. That he started live streaming on sites that no longer exist. Like he really truly is an OG live streamer. He's been at it for like 10 years and now he's one of the most popular ones on the planet. For like 8 years. Now he's one of the most popular streamers on the planet. So it's like that's just the reality of what's happening. I mean, we can love like win, lose, or draw, love it, hate it, whatever. That's what's happening. So that's accurately observing it. So let's take a look at one of these other clips. I forget what this is or why I wanted to look at it. So let's go.
It's funny because I heard people explain it this way. They said he's playing you clips from your own show and then asking you if you agree with yourself. It's like, of course I'm going to agree with myself. He plays a clip and then says, what did you mean by that? And I'm like, well, I meant what I said in the clip. Well, did you take that back? No, I said, it's my show. I said it on my show. Of course I agree with the clip. I said it. It's on my show. And so that was the structure. That was the format.
Yeah, I think the goal was to trot out clips of him talking and make him cower and snivel and apologize and have a struggle session on cable. We've all seen this, right? I mean, fuck, we've all seen this. Where people go on cable news and you show a clip of them being racist and they're like, I'm so sorry. They grovel and apologize. And are they ever forgiven? No. Do they ever let it go? No. Are they ever be able to wash that stain off their reputation? No. It never works. It's completely pointless. And I think he said it. He meant it the first time. And he doesn't fear cancellation or social ostracism. He has zero fear of that. And I think this next generation coming up has zero fear of that. So you're going to need to come up with like another... You're going to have to come up with like another tool if you want them to fall in line. And I don't think it's going to be easy. I think their goal is to gain power and then change things to match what they want them to be. And I don't see any serious impediment to that. Like the liberal social order has officially lost the argument. I mean, you just look at you can know it by its fruits, right? Just look at the disastrous shape that society is in. Look at the way people are divided, people are at each other's throats, people are economically displaced, the birth rate is plummeting. This idea of a bunch of like atomized, isolated individuals stuck in their bedroom staring at their phones is not working. We're not building a meaningful society off of that. We're not building like an interconnected group of people with some kind of like shared patriotic identity. No, and like, look, that's one of the things about the new social order is that instead of what would Jesus do, it's what would Hitler do and do the opposite, right? So that means no patriotism, because patriotism could turn into nationalism, which could turn into extreme nationalism. No conquering, no expanding the borders, no celebrating our history, no being proud of our heritage, all that stuff, because that's stuff that could lead to, fascism downstream. Yeah, and it does, but like the thing is we've gone so far in the opposite direction where you have people that are like, instead of being proud of their identity, are ashamed of it, ashamed of their ancestors, ashamed of their national history, ashamed of their country. want to denigrate it, want to tear it down, want to ruin it, want to devalue it as much as possible because it's shameful. It's shameful to be a part of that society. And I understand that's like very like I understand what they're saying. Like they're trying to just be performatively good to signal how much they're not a bad guy. But I'm telling you, like, it has ruinous consequences. And the rise of somebody like this was completely inevitable. And new media is going to completely dog walk legacy media. Legacy media has no tools because all the tools that they use to maintain dominance don't work anymore. They don't have a monopoly on people's eyeballs. And they can't use shame and ostracism on new media figures who came up on 4chan because they're not scared of that anymore. Like they can feel the zeitgeist shifting. Like they're not taking you seriously anymore when you say that. So, I mean, and I think it actually did way more harm than good when they pushed him to his one little corner of the internet and they removed all of his connections because now he's built up a completely independent and powerful following that's self-supporting and he's uncancelable. There's nothing you could do to make his followers abandon him at this point. They already know about the gay catboy stuff. They're not going anywhere. So, go ahead.
Clip, response. And I guess what was notable about it is that he was clearly going into this interview thinking, I have to assume this. He went into it thinking that I would be embarrassed or ashamed or that he could shame me. And so he'll play a clip where I say, blacks should be in prison, women need to shut up, Jews are running America. And he thinks that I'm going to blush and get red in the face and go, oh, I didn't mean it that way. I'm not racist. I'm actually a really good guy. And I think he was surprised when I said, everything I said in that clip is true. And he said, really? Everything? Yeah. What about this part? Yeah, that too. Really? You think blacks should be in jail? Yeah, they commit too much crime. Well, white people commit crime. Yeah, they do it less. But they commit crime. Yeah, but less. But they commit crime. Yeah, but proportionally less.
Yeah, Piers Morgan actually just like not understanding per capita was crazy. That was crazy. It was like arguing with like a retard on Twitter. It was like, honestly, like, what are we doing here? Like, and that's why legacy media is failing. Like, you're either willfully misunderstanding the argument or you're too stupid to participate. I don't know which. I don't know if they're like willfully misunderstanding the argument or too stupid to participate. In some sense, it doesn't matter because you're either lying on purpose or you're so dumb I can disregard your opinion. I don't know which it is, but it doesn't matter. And I think it's gotten to the point where people just don't care anymore. We don't care if you're lying on purpose or if you're just a failure. We don't care if you're a retard or if you're lying on purpose. We don't want to you are not going to be the people setting the zeitgeist anymore. We are not listening to you. We are not taking our marching orders from you anymore. That's over. That's over. We're not allowing the legacy media to police what is and isn't okay to talk about. And we're not going to like allow them to just like pretend they don't understand on purpose. Like, we're not going to let them get away with it like this willful. This is something leftists do all the time. I think I've talked about this on the show before, where they just pretend not to understand what you're talking about, which makes like discourse impossible. They just like act confused, which makes having a conversation impossible. It's like, oh, stupid. Death by attrition conquered by co-opting. Rome used to do it. That's why no one knows who the Enochians are. It's true. Yeah, go ahead, sweetheart.
Okay, next subject. Like, and this was the flow of the interview.
Yeah, horrible. I think this is like what we're looking at here is like I'm not surprised by this. I'm surprised it happened. It happened faster than I thought it would. I really thought I was gonna have to like wait a year or two to be completely fucking vindicated about the shit I was saying in September, but yeah, no, it's already here. It's already here. And I think within the next couple of election cycles, we're going to see a significant shift in the discourse. The only thing, again, I do think to some degree, I think you can put together a lot of like hoe scaring clips of Nick Fuentes to try to like mobilize female voters with their hysteria. Remember, he was the My Body, My Choice Forever guy. A couple years ago, he dropped that. And even at that time, I didn't really, I wasn't really taking him seriously at that point. I was reassuring female friends that he was not a person who had any actual power. I don't feel that way anymore. Yeah, I think he speaks for a lot of like very disaffected people. So, yeah, I think it's past the point where you can just safely tune him out. So yeah, guys, I was fucking around. Let's see. What is this one? Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, this is like, this has been, I don't know. This has been crazy. I thought there were some other parts of like, I think the most revealing moment, I did set aside the clip, but the moment where he was like, Hitler was fucking cool. And, Piers Morgan's like, how dare you say, Hitler was cool. It's like the fucking edits are cool. And then like the next day today, like half my feed was fucking that clip and then immediately into a Hitler edit with like upbeat dancing music and shit. Dude, the Zoomers are crazy, man. These are crazy. Like, you can't imagine that shit. I can't imagine that shit anywhere outside of 4chan now. And it's just like a mainstream part of the zeitgeist now. I mean, it was such like a significant shift. And I think it caught, and Piers ended up looking stupid and hysterical. It was just like I said, this is the conversation happening between boomer fathers and zoomer sons all over America, where these like milquetoast, mealy mouth, boomers that take their religious beliefs as like part of a buffet offering, and they're like lukewarm and like generally support of like, a post-racial society and like, oh, we shouldn't judge people, man. I think it's completely catching them off guard and completely coming out of left field, like how Zoomers could be that far away. And I'm telling you, this is coming from like how badly and how long particularly young men have been treated in the school system. And it's particularly like young white men. That's part of it. Part of it is like the economic displacement. Part of it is the immigration policy. Part of it is the way women have received selective benefits, both with college admission and hiring. Part of it is the feminism in the culture that's like turning men and women against each other. That's made women very, very, very difficult to be around. I mean, that's just a reality about something we talk about on the show all the time. It's just like the relationships between men and women have completely devolved. And that's something like, I think that's why Nick could like talk about, the things that he talks about, why he can speak about women the way that he does, and he has a significant fan base, and why he's just constantly fucking inundated with DMs from women for some reason. This is crazy. Like the amount of this, you guys are not as deep in this shit as I am. Like I'm deep into this shit. Like I've seen a significant portion of my feed is like people thirst trapping to Nick Fuentes audios or thirst trapping to I saw somebody thirst trapping to like a Hitler audio the other day, which was fucking crazy. It's a very weird time we're dealing with right now. It's a very weird time. Things have shifted significantly. Oh, what's up, girl? Toasty's here. What's up, girl? How you doing? Toasty, friend of the channel. Make sure to go check out her stuff. She's got a lot of stuff going on over on her channel. Yeah, dude. This has been kind of nuts. I don't know. It's like we got a little bit of time. We got like 20 minutes left of the show. I don't know. I kind of want to just like do the whole 2 hours on this. I kind of want to save the rest of these clips for later. But yeah, that was like, I I don't know, that whole dialogue, the whole dialogue, I think, was emblematic of the shift that we're seeing. Like, I don't think we're ever going back. And I think the sooner people adjust to the way things are now, the better. Like, you just need to realize that this is the new status quo, I think, which is it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy to consider. But like, I mean, this would have been completely unfathomable to anyone, in the millennial generation. Like, if you asked me like 10 or 12 years ago, if this was going to be like, if you'd showed me this, I would have thought you were out of your fucking mind. I think, let's see. Oh yeah, I actually do want to go over this one part here. Boop. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. There it is. Okay. By the way, Joe, go ahead. The Stream Elements tip jar is in the video description. Go ahead and donate to that so that I can get YouTube Premium, so I don't have to deal with ads anymore. This is a giant pain in the ass. By the way, I can't believe how long I did this show without a second screen. I'm telling you, second screens are mandatory. If you are a streamer, make sure to get a second screen. Anyway, so Pierce is going to pull up. This is probably the last clip I'm going to do. Pierce is going to pull up Nick saying that Hitler was cool and then try to make him respond to it. And watch the way that he responds. Because I think this was a moment where I think Pierce could have made like a meaningful impact and really could have driven the point home if he had like facts on deck, but he chooses to make like a very stupid, emotionally driven argument instead. Go ahead. So he's playing the clip here. Let's see. Let's go back a little bit, actually. Let's go back a little bit. There we go.
Most Jewish people have lost relatives in the Holocaust. In fact, I want to play you two clips. One is where you talk about Adolf Hitler.
Hitler was a pedophile and kind of a pagan. It's like, well, he was also really fucking cool. So, time to grow up. We're not children anymore. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right, boys? Am I right? Let's go.
Oh, man.
He was also really fucking cool.
Do you regret saying that?
Saying a fact? No, that's absolutely true.
See, Piers thinks he's got him dead to rights. He thinks that's game, set, match. He thinks that's over. This is the thing you guys got to understand. It's like, I think a lot of people watch this and they're like, why didn't Piers make some kind of logical fact-based argument? Because he doesn't have one. This has never not worked before. You see what I'm saying? This has never not worked before. It's like, this is it. This is, he thinks he's already won. He thinks that should be a kill shot. And he's astounded that it isn't. Like, he thinks it's going to be over after this. Go ahead.
You think Hitler was very fucking cool?
Yes, I do.
One of them.
And I'm tired of pretending he's not.
Well,
to be honest.
This is the problem, you see. It's a bit like when you just say, I'm a racist. You're a racist who thinks Hitler's cool, but you're not anti-Semitic. If you're a Jewish person watching this, what are they thinking? I'll tell you what they're thinking, because I've got a friend of mine called Danny Finkelstein, who, when he heard I was interviewing...
By the way, this next part is going to going to live down in infamy in internet history. This next portion, because of not only how it's he goes with something emotionally manipulative instead of logical, but also like how Nick handles it by just like mocking the tactics. Go ahead.
He's a Times journalist in the UK, very eminent journalist here, and author, who wrote a book about his own family's experiences at the hands of Hitler and Stalin, because he also told... Danny said...
Fuentes, you might try suggesting to him that he reads my book, Hitler, Stalin, Mum and Dad. It's called Two Roads Home.
Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Piers Morgan phones a friend. He brings his Jewish friend.
My father's
blah, blah,
side,
blah.
the one that survived the war.
Said that his
so you might ask him
grandparents died
whether
in the
he wouldn't
Holocaust,
rather be on
whatever.
Team Mall, so he doesn't celebrate Dad. He can plan, try to work.
See, that's the reality of your jokes, although I haven't ascertained yet whether you are joking when you say...
No, I think he's been pretty clear that he wasn't joking.
That Hitler was...
Oh, Full Metal Nate's in the chat. What's up, buddy? Sub Timu Jesus, we recapping Piers being a boomer and Nick being a possible plant, LOL. Yes, we certainly are. That's the kind of things we do here over at Theocracy with Theo Snodgrass. We're either talking about women or we're talking about this kind of shit. We love talking about media manipulation on this show. That's what we do here. That's what we do here. We talk about how we are trying to be manipulated, how the media is trying to manipulate you. That's what we do here. Where's the lie? He managed to create an entire Nazi movie from scratch, and we're still talking about the man knew what he was doing. Yeah, I think, well, that's the thing is, like, I think cool and good are not necessarily the same thing, and significant historical figures. I think when he's, like, Napoleon is fucking awesome, but Napoleon undoubtedly killed millions of people. That's just true. He's responsible for the death of millions of people, and he harnessed a really violent moment. Like, Caesar is fucking awesome, but he was super dangerous. It resulted in the deaths of a lot of people, and he was so dangerous at the time that his friends murdered him because they were so scared of him. So, I mean, like, I understand the point that he's making, but remember, Piers is from the generation where Hitler is big, bad, scary man. He's Voldemort. He's, like, the worst possible person, and Nick is from a generation that does not accept that anymore. And cool, remember, cool does not necessarily mean good. But for a lot of the people who are coming up, cool is going to mean good. And it's going to go from, because remember, they are rebelling against the social order that they find oppressive. And under the oppressive feminist HR department that's been censoring their speech and putting them in detention and, you know, failing them out of society and rejecting them sexually and denying them jobs, right? Under that social order, Hitler is big, bad, scary mustache man is the worst person that could ever possibly exist. So what's the most rebellious thing you can do under that social environment is to be pro-Hitler. Does everybody see how that's happening? I hope I'm being clear about this. This is an act of rebellion. This is flipping the table over. This is attacking the load-bearing presuppositions of the current social order because you want to tear it down on purpose because it does not serve you and there's no place in it for you. You see what's going on here? I'm trying to like break this down. So I think for a lot of people, especially like older people, I don't have that many older viewers. It's almost all 18 to like 45. That's everybody. It's like, or 18 to, it's 18 to, yeah, it's like all of them. It's like a little, like 60% of my audience is 25 to 34. And then some of you are like 35 plus. But for the most part, I don't have a lot of boomers in the audience. I don't know, maybe show clips from this to your boomer parents. We're going to try to get clips of this. Shout out to Arza Chats. We're going to try to get some clips of the show released. So hopefully we can get a clip of this that you could, I don't know, show to your parents or whatever, because they're going to understand this. But yeah, this is just a response to existing in a society that has told you explicitly that it has no place or need or desire for you. And in fact, thinks you're the problem and thinks you should go away. This is what happens. They're going to do absolutely whatever they can to reject to it. Let's see. Fred's last name is Finkelstein. Yeah, it sounds like a Fairly Odd Parents character. It does not sound real. Shout out to us old hats with the creaky knees. Yeah, shout out to the gray hairs of the audience. Friend of the channel, gray hairs. That's the thing, is like that's where fucking wisdom comes from a lot of times. I think what's frustrating about the boomer generation, especially guys like Piers who are part of this like liberal media elite social order, is they don't fucking know anything. So he is responsible for purveying information to people, and he has abdicated that responsibility. He's not passing on wisdom to the next generation. He doesn't know anything about women. He doesn't know anything about politics. He doesn't know anything about society. He doesn't know anything about history. He just knows how to repeat talking points. He literally does not have the wisdom to pass on to the generation, which if you're an old man and you have no wisdom to pass on, you are useless. That is what you are for. Your goal, by the way, you guys who are like 20s now where your knees work and you can drink all night and still get up in the morning and go to work, like if that's you, remember this. Your job is to become a wise old man. So that means two things. What does that entail? Living long enough to be old, which by the way is a privilege. That's the best case scenario. Getting old is the best case scenario. Okay? Because other than that, the other scenario is you're in the fucking ground. Okay? So your job is to be a wise old man. So you got to live to be an old man, which means don't get killed. And two, you have to acquire some actual wisdom, which means you have to leave your house. You have to take risks. You have to read books. You have to educate yourself. You have to learn things about the world. Now you got to be able to articulate that well enough that a second person might listen to you. That's your job, to become a wise old man. Right? That's your fucking job. That's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm in the process of becoming a wise old man. I'm in my Jesus era, and then I'll move into my Aragorn era, and then ultimately I'll reach my final form, which will be my Gandalf era. Right? That's the process. That's what your job is. Piers Morgan has categorically failed in his imperative. He is a retarded old man who's completely out of touch. This is the worst case scenario. This is becoming completely out of touch with the way the world actually is and having no meaningful skills that he can bring to bear on the way the world exists now. He's a purveyor of information, and he doesn't have any information relevant to anybody who might want to listen to him. That's the problem. So if you are looking at you, Full Metal Nate, if you're out there and you're young enough that your fucking body still works, you remember, it's time. Your job is to become a wise old man. That's your job. So when it's your time to purvey information to younger people, you have something to share. You know, let's shout out. Let's watch the rest of this. Let's see. I forget what I was talking about. Go ahead.
Very fucking cool. Are you joking, or do you actually think he was very fucking cool? The most genocidal monster of the last 150 years.
Yeah, the thing is, my generation, we're just done with the pearl clutching. You know,
yeah, you might be, but then your generation hasn't gone through what Danny Finkelstein's family went through. So maybe the pearl clutching has a way to go for families whose family members
were
murdered.
Yeah, we got all that. We, me mom, like we're. I don't even know who this person is. Why is this person talking to me? This old British guy is saying me mom got killed by Hitler.
See, he's using this emotionally manipulative argument, and this is the classic, highly feminized HR department. This is the HR department social order that is attempting to silence him with shame and guilt and ostracism. And don't you feel bad? Don't you feel bad? Don't you feel bad? No logical argument. No numbers. You haven't heard anything approximating numbers. You haven't heard anything about specific facts. You haven't specific historical events. There's all kinds of arguments for why you can say Hitler wasn't actually a cool guy. There's all sorts of ways you could go about this. But Piers Morgan doesn't know enough to have that conversation. He doesn't have anything to say to this. So, yeah. Can we at least agree, Nate? We got better off than most of my generation. Theo, they are cooked, maybe. Well, I've said this before. This is true about Nate and Arza and all sorts of the young fellas, Von Coleman, all sorts of the young fellas who are fans of the show. I think all of you guys are better off than a lot of your generation because all those guys I just mentioned are actively making something, whether it's a YouTube channel or comic books or whatever it is. If you're actively making something, you are better off than 99% of other people. If you're doing something, if you're creating something, if you're producing something, whether it's a creative work or a business or a YouTube channel or a podcast or whatever the fuck it is, if you're actually doing something, that means you haven't given up. And there's a lot of folks who are just completely checked out. All they do is video games, porn, weed. They don't do anything. They don't do anything. They've completely checked out of society because they're like, fuck it. And it's to me, if you're actually creating something, then you're better off. You're probably top 10% right there. That's what I think a lot of you guys don't understand. So it just frustrates me because I see a lot of you guys get down on yourselves and you're like, oh, well, I've, whatever. It's like, you feel bad. It's like, but look at what the fucking rest of them are doing. A lot of these young guys have just given. So if you feel like that, if that's hitting home for you and you feel like I'm not creating anything, I'm not, going, all I do, I don't talk to anybody. I just, blah, blah, blah. Then it's like, okay, well, go do something. You're only going to be alive for so long. Like life ends eventually. Memento mori. One day you're going to die. So they go out and do something. I mean, these are your fucking, like the creaky knees sneak up on you faster than you think. Okay, so go out there while you have youthfulness, while you have energy, while you have that creative spark. Actually, go out and like make whatever it is you want to make and do whatever it is you want to do. Go where you want to go. Experience what you want to experience. Go out and like find shit to do that's like positive. Those things mean you checked out, little crap. No, you can do that in balance, in balance. You got to balance it with something else. I really believe that. I really believe, especially the young fellas, like you got to fucking make something or do something, or whether it's a business or whatever it is, or build skill sets, You know, it's just let me tell you something. A lot of you guys who are out here, like a lot of people ask me like, how do I, approach women in current year? And it's like, it's really fucking hard. But what's easier is if you build a skill set of some kind, then they will come hang out with you. And then you're like, okay. Like I'm telling you, like stand-up comedy and live streaming have greatly improved my dating prospects. Without those two things, I really don't know what I would do. Like, I don't know if like cold approach even works now. I mean, I think it does, but it's just like so there's so much unpleasantness between the sexes that is just like baked into the current meta. I think it's like way better to just like do something cool and then you date the women who like it. And in order to do that, you have to like develop a skill set. You have to do something, and listen. Listen, I enjoy marijuana and video games as much as the next guy, but I don't have as much time for it as I would like to because I do. As I do this and I do stand up and that takes up a lot of my time. But yeah, no, I mean, there's nothing wrong with leisure, but like just get out and fucking like do something with your life. And I think that's the other thing is like a lot of these people who are, being quote unquote radicalized by Nick Fuentes are people who just like, they look around, they don't have anything going on. If they had, like I said, if you had jobs and if you had jobs that paid enough and they had families and they had leisure time, which they could spend, and they had children, and they had, they felt like they were engaged in their communities, and they had religious communities that they felt like they were, like if they had all these needs being met, if they looked around their communities and things were getting better, and they felt optimistic about the future, this would not be a problem. This is because during the last 15 years, things have got noticeably worse. And we all know that's true, right? The movies are worse. The video games suck. Okay, the Japanese ones are pretty good, and there are still some good games that come out. But like in general, like the big publishers are producing garbage. The big movie studios are producing garbage. The streaming services, which were so promising, now they cost more than ever. They have ads on them, and the shows are fucking suck. They've got like trannies in every TV show. I'm telling you, like all the things that were like supposed to be like bread and circuses to distract you have gotten noticeably worse. The food is worse. The dollar doesn't go as far. The jobs that were promised are not there. The education does not have the same value that it did. And a lot of these guys, they're single, they're alone, they live with their folks, they don't have wives, they don't have families, they don't have children, they don't have opportunities to like build towards the future. They don't have meaningful connections to their communities. And so like what exactly is their incentive to buy in to what Piers Morgan's describing here? What's their incentive to buy into the status quo? What do you think they get out of this exactly? And that's the like, what do you think they're getting at it? This is the thing people break down. This is what I call the breakdown in reciprocity, which is not a concept I have time to elaborate on now because we're getting up towards the end of the show. But like the breakdown in reciprocity is fucking huge. That's a recurring theme on the show that we talk about a lot. The longtime viewers of the show will know what I'm talking about. It's this idea like men used to do certain things and they had certain duties they owed to society. And in exchange, they got respect. They got treated pretty okay. They got to have enough money to have their own little spot, raise their own little family, have their own little children. Maybe you get to buy a couple cool things. Maybe you get to have a motorcycle, or maybe you get to have like a jet ski, or maybe you get to have, I don't know, whatever, like a little fishing boat. You get to have enough for you, your family, and a little bit extra that you can use to, go to Las Vegas for the weekend, if that's what you want to do, whatever, or go to Disneyland or whatever is fun for you. You get to have some of that, a decent amount of work, and a decent amount of time with your family, and that covers everything, right? But that's completely gone now. Most people are working all the time just to be able to survive. There's not, and they're not feeling very respected. They're not feeling like their opinion values. They're feeling like disrespected and spit on, and they're finding it like really hard to form meaningful relationships and have children and stuff like that. And the response they get is they get mocked and called like, oh, you can't figure out how to get laid. That's why you're political. And then they look around and they see immigration and they see that their country looks completely different than it did when they were younger and that things have gotten noticeably worse. And they're like, hey, what's up with that? And they get told, hey, if you notice things, if you recognize patterns, you're being an evil, bad racist. That's making having a meaningful conversation impossible. The other thing too, Roguish Nerd makes a good point. The weed has gotten way stronger, and that's true. Legalization has made the weed way stronger. The other thing that's gotten way stronger, porn has gotten way stronger. The video games, even though the actual quality of the storytelling and the actual fun factor has gone down in a lot of cases, the graphics have gotten way better and way more immersive. Way more immersive. Way more consuming. So I think there's a lot more ways to just completely check out. And we're seeing this with women too. By the way, I'm more focused on men's problems here because that's who my listener base is. But women are having problems too. I'm not saying women are doing great. If you look at the romance novel phenomenon, the female gooning epidemic is completely out of control. And there's more and more and more demand for more and more extreme, easier to consume fucking porn books. And they're everywhere. And people know about this. This does seem to be a generational problem, though. In my experience of talking about them in stand-up, boomers and above tend to not know. Gen X and below knows about porn books. Millennials really know about porn books. Millennials and Gen Z, they really know about them. Those are your main consumers of porn books. The female gooning epidemic is completely out of control. And when I've talked to women about it, they're using them to dissociate. And I'm trying to tell women that, I really think porn for men is not a horny thing necessarily. It's a dissociate thing. It's just that they just don't want to think about how excruciating life has become for so many people. It's this constant slow drip of anxiety that never really resolves. It's extremely boring and extremely stressful at the same time, which is a very hard way to live. Your nervous system is always activated and you just have no way to release the tension. And everything we do to we have ways to check out, we have ways to dissociate, but we've gotten rid of a lot of these community building things that we used to do to bring people together. And a lot of this is downstream of television and stuff like that. But we're getting into deep history here, but all of these pieces kind of fit together. And I think for any boomers in the audience, first of all, if you're a boomer and you're listening to my show, or if you're an older guy, you're listening to my show, then you are very plugged in. I'm just going to say you are plugged in to some, you are one of the ones who's actually paying attention to what the fuck is going on. You have your head on a swivel. You're probably very literate to what's going on. I'm guessing you spend a lot of time consuming alternative media. If you're an older guy who's paying attention, or you're my dad. Hi, Dad. Shout out my dad, friend of the channel. Shout out, Dad. Yeah, it's great, man. It's great. But mostly, when I look at my audience numbers, it's probably 90%. 70% about is 25 to 34, and then 20% is 34 to 50, and then the last whatever 10% or whatever is the 18 to 24 demo. So that's mostly but all the things that make you check out of what's going on and dissociate, all that stuff is super strong. But what's crazy is the amount of slop production. I thought Theo focused on men's issues because of penis envy. Learn something new every day. Oh man, I love my chat. My chat's great. I have a lot of live viewers right now, so this is a very, very boisterous chat. The rise of Clitlet has made me believe porn is women's fault. Yeah, I think this is I think what the difference is they just don't. We got rid of shame, so a lot of this is downstream. I think of the sexual revolution, which is brought on by hormonal birth control, abortion, changing attitudes around sex. Plus hormones and how putting hormones in people's bodies is going to affect how they act. And then downstream of that, women have made sex a lot easier to get, which enables men to use women as disposable sexual objects. And so, and also we completely abolished all of the shame around sex and sexuality, and now promiscuity equals empowerment, which is just so retarded. I can't think of a more retarded idea that will destroy a society faster than breaking down the sexual norms. Like there's a book, it's like from the 20s. God, I wish I had it in front of me. These are the things I see things and then I forget about them. I'll have to dig it up. But it was a book from the 1920s which talks about how monogamy is a prerequisite for a stable society. And try explaining this to a leftist and they will be like, literally, I've tried to have this conversation to a leftist and they're like, the first thing they tried was like, monogamy is not natural. And I was like, I know, but it is a social construct to deal with the gnarlier parts of human nature. And creating social constructs to deal with the gnarlier parts of human nature is very natural. That is what humans do. That is how we adapt. We create social constructs that help us deal with the gnarlier parts of human nature. That's a cultural norm. That's what cultural norms are. These are traditions, are attempts to solve problems that worked. That's why they endured into the future, is because they worked. They solved the problem they were meant to solve, and they worked. That's why we're doing them again. And monogamy solves this problem of people tend to default to harems, and then the guys who aren't getting pussy will just like they'll just form war bands and like march and ride to the neighboring society and steal their women and start conquering and knocking mailboxes over and shit. They'll just be, and it ends up being a lot stable and safer and better and more satisfying for everybody if you adopt monogamy as a social norm. It's like a very old idea that is pretty much universal in like stable, prosperous societies. So this is something that this is not that hard to find out, right? But so if you make that case, then the leftist will say, why are you so concerned with what other people are doing with their genitals? That's weird. And it's like, everyone thinks there should be limitations on what people do with their genitals. That's why I can jerk off in my bedroom, but I can't jerk off in front of an elementary school. Right? Everyone agrees there should be limitations on what you do with genitals. It's just a question of what those limitations are. And I'm not weird for noticing that. But again, that's all they have. They don't have logic. They don't have history. They don't have fact on your side. They just have shaming. That's all they have is shame. That's the only thing. So anyway, this has been fun. Let's see if there's any more of this clip I want to do, and then we're going to wrap up here. Go ahead.
Because he doesn't find it funny when you say Hitler's very fucking cool.
I don't care.
He finds
I don't care.
I know you don't care. That's fine. You don't have to care. But he does care.
Does that guy care about America? Does that guy care about me and my country and my family? No.
He cares what you, a prominent conservative in America, has to say about Adolf Hitler. Now, what do you mean by Hitler is very fucking cool? Because I think he's very fucking a monster.
And that's a clip.
By the way, he was right. That was a clip. Go ahead.
I think he's very fucking a monster. Do you hear yourself?
Yeah, I mean,
can we all grow up?
I do.
Can we all grow
He
up?
murdered 12 million.
See, this is like boomer dads talking to their Zoomer sons and just not getting it. I'm telling you, this conversation is happening all over America. This is like, no, man, Hitler, that's just as woke as the woke people. And they're not. And this is the response. It's just like mockery because they don't take that shit seriously anymore.
Childish.
He murdered 12 million people. What is very fucking cool about that? Tell me.
The edits, it's just cool. The uniforms, the parades, it's cool as a guy. You look at World War II and it's fascinating and it's interesting and it's compelling and it's cool. And, we're just tired of saying these kinds of things. We want to talk like real people and give our honest opinions. And then we literally get an old Jewish guy from England who's going to say, oh, that's not very funny, mate. Me mom. And it's like, shut up. No one is in favor of genocide. So let's just get that out of the way. We're not in favor of a Holocaust or genocide.
Do you think if half your family had been wiped out by very fucking cool Hitler, you'd still think he was...
He just has guilt and shame here. He doesn't have any logical arguments to give. This is it. And I'm telling you, this is not going to work anymore. The time when guilt and shame was going to work is over. It's done. It's done. It's done. So I just need to be Negan from The Walking Dead. Truthfully, you would get more pussy if you were Negan from The Walking Dead. Yeah, for sure. For sure. But it takes time to become that, to be fair. It takes time. You gotta practice a lot. You'll get there. I believe in you. I believe in your villain era, Nate. I am here for Nate's villain era. W's in the chat for Nate's villain era, everybody. I believe in him. Norby, it's fine, but he's sure butthurt about it. Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, it's clearly not fine. He's hysterical, and he's continuing to be more and more and more hysterical, as if that's going to work, as if ratcheting up the level of emotion in the dialogue is going to make this better. It's ratcheting up the level of emotion is not. It's like you're not gonna. He's trying to trigger some kind of like obsequious guilt response or some kind of apology from Nick. You're not gonna get that. That's over. That's over, and I fear it's already over. And like, there's not anybody who's prepared to actually like meet this with real arguments. It's like, so Jubilee's trying to like, I guess, organize like a retard squad of liberal debaters. We'll see how that goes. But like, I mean, Dean Withers and Nick Fuentes have already gone at it, and he just like donkey fucked him. So I mean, like. Yeah, just absolutely. I look up that clip, by the way, the Dean Withers versus Nick Fuentes clip. We don't have time to get to it today, but yeah, he's gonna just incredible. So anyway,
very fucking cool? Or would you think that actually he was a despicable monster who murdered 12 million people, who targeted people because they were disabled or Jewish or Romani Gypsy or whatever it may be, and that he systematically destroyed people, incinerated them in gas chambers? Do you think that you would find it very fucking cool if your family had been through that? Or do you think you would find it very fucking disgusting? And perhaps moderate the number of times you laugh about it, or want to joke about it, or want to abuse someone like Danny Finkelstein, who's written incredibly powerful books about what happened to his extended family at the hands of the Nazis and your other hero, Stalin. See, my point to you, Nick Fuentes, is that in parts of this interview, you try to come across as moderate, but every now and again the mask slips, and it slipped again here with what you say about Hitler. There's nothing very fucking cool about Hitler. We know that from history now. We know what he did. You've already conceded that he murdered at least 6 million Jews. So when you say he's very fucking cool, Jewish people watch this and go, this guy's disgusting. Why would he say this about someone who perpetrated such an evil? And what's the real answer? Why do you? Is it just for clicks? Is it for money? Is it just for fun? For shits and giggles? What is it? What motivates you?
All right, that's enough of that. To pull up Weasel's point. This is great. Piers is just Mags every Christmas because people keep putting his face on the pigeon lady from Home Alone. And as you can see, it's pretty much an exact match. And then Finkelstein has got to be the most Jewish name I've ever heard, by the way. Good point, Rokish Nerd. It really is. It's like almost comical. But anyway, this last point, I actually want to play this real quick. We're going to wrap this up. I'm going to wrap up the stream because I've been yakking for like 2 hours. I got other shit to do today. But we got to play this because I think this is extremely relevant to what we're talking about. Go ahead.
Is it for money? Is it just for fun? For shits and giggles? What is it? What motivates you to say something like Hitler was very fucking cool?
It's for this. It's for all of this. And,
yes,
and the lack of self...
just Piers Morgan violated the sacred rule of the internet. Do not feed the troll. Like, that's why Nick was sitting there looking smug, trying not to laugh. Full Metal Nate. See, Nate is a Zoomer. Let's see what Nate said about this. We know he was a bad guy. Take a fucking joke, boomer. Right. Nate is a Zoomer. So this kind of humor is native to the generation that grew up with like online edgelords. Like he understands this. Piers is completely out of touch. Piers doesn't understand. He's the principal from he thinks he's still Ferris Bueller. Piers thinks he's still Ferris Bueller, but he's the principal from Ferris Bueller now. Nick is the Ferris Bueller. Right? But Piers still thinks he's Ferris Bueller. He doesn't understand that he's not cool. He doesn't understand that like his rules don't carry the day and that he has no power here. He doesn't get that yet. Like it hasn't set in. Go ahead.
Self-awareness is amazing. You're a boomer. You're a 60-year-old boomer, and we've spent maybe 3 minutes on you saying he's a really fucking monster. He incinerated people. And I'm sitting here saying it's not that serious. It's not that deep. And
not that
and what
serious.
I'm getting at.
Not that serious.
Do you want to say more about he's a monster?
You're not a kid yourself anymore. You're not a teenager.
I know.
Right?
You're
You're nearly 30. To be clear,
yeah,
okay? You're a fully formed adult who has a brain, right? And at some stage, that brain is taking you off these rabbit
warrens. Is this an interview or is this a lecture? Can I respond to what you're saying?
I want you to explain why you think it's fine to say how fucking cool Hitler is and to dismiss the very powerful 90 seconds from a British journalist who lost a lot of family members to the Nazis in such a callous, dismissive manner.
I don't think it's powerful. I think we've been hearing that our entire lives. Okay, the Schindler's List. Let's just be honest. The propaganda is over the top. We have been brought in America.
What about the Schindler's List? Tell me about the Schindler's List. Well, tell me about the Schindler's List.
I'll tell you about it. We have been browbeaten as a people, as Americans, as Westerners, for our entire lives. And do you know what this has done? It has taken away any sense of pride, any sense of love for our own civilization. We have been made the villain in our own story. We have been made because, well, let's just be clear. It doesn't begin and end with Hitler is a monster. This has been the political narrative, which is why we have thrown open the borders. This is a political narrative, which is why we can't be a conservative society as a whole anymore, why we can't be proud of Europeans, why we can't be proud of being Christian, because they've told us if you're too white and too proud and too Christian, it's going to lead to a Holocaust. And so my generation, our entire lives.
See,
there it is. See, there it is. It's like he lays out what is really the underlying ethos of the movement that he's speaking for right now. This is why this is happening. He just laid it out explicitly. This cultural narrative, which demonizes patriotism, which demonizes being proud of your history, which it's whatever Hitler would do the exact opposite, which means no patriotism, no nationalism. Don't be proud of your country. Don't be proud of your history. Don't be proud of your ancestors. Don't be proud of your heritage. In fact, view all of those things with shame and self-hatred and apologize for existing and walk around with your head hung low. And they're like, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to walk around embarrassed for existing anymore, which, by the way, is extremely compelling. And that's kind of like what we laid out at the beginning. If you remember the videos from the beginning, right? This is what we laid out. And Piers Morgan, what is his response to that? What a crock of shit. He calls it a crock of shit. He does not have any compelling arguments besides shaming, name-calling, and ostracism. That's it. That's all he's got to say.
It's true, and that's why people like me. That's why I'm popular, because this is bullshit.
Shit. Honestly,
yeah, it's a crock. We don't want to hear any more about me mom and me dad. That's the crock of shit.
No, listen. What you just said is a crock of shit. And you know
true.
It.
It's called the open society.
In your gut.
Anyway, this is kind of, it was good. Let's see. It's insane that they'll pillory Dick for this, but never touch Hassan's obsession with Chairman Mao. Yeah, there's a completely different standard for communists versus Nazis, and it's a completely different standard. And like, it's that kind of double standard that is undermining the narrative to begin with. It's like, what about all these other bad guys of history that it's totally fine to worship? That's exactly right. That's exactly the argument that's undermining it. To be fair, Hugo Boss Goose Step Look slaps based. No, but that's like, really, like, if you watch the edits, like, that's what people are appealing to, is the aesthetic and like the nativist pride and all the stuff. That's what people are appealing to. And this is the monster you create when you tell people that they must be embarrassed about their ancestors, they must hang their head in shame, they must apologize for existing, they must occupy the position of the villain in their own national narrative, right? Their own narrative of the history of their nation. Like, this is a really damaging thing to do. And this is like downstream. This is what's fueling our, immigration policies on diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is what fueling wokeness. It's what fueling all the nonsense that is undermining the way of life that we've come to enjoy, and our quality of life and our standard of living. All the things that are undermining that are downstream of taking this philosophy to a reductio ad absurdum, just absurd to its absurdist conclusions. You know, and it makes us unable to speak about reality, to the point that if you try to talk about reality without using 17 layers of baby talk, you will get shrieked at and shamed and ostracized. And it's like, no more. It's done. It's done. I think this is one of the reasons why I ultimately settled in comedy, is like I needed to be in a place where I could speak honestly about things. And you know, and even there, like you can't do that everywhere. Not every region of this country will tolerate that. So, yeah. Let's see. Piers is the kind of guy that would bitch and moan because kids are playing outside his house. Exactly. And this sounds like get off my lawn. This is old man shakes his fist at cloud. This is just like the world has passed Piers by and he doesn't even know it yet. Yeah, Full Metal Date. He just has old man yelling at clouds energy. Exactly. He's exactly right. Exactly right. That's what's going on here. He looks very out of touch in this interview. And what's crazy is this is how out of touch he is, completely lacking in self-awareness. He thinks that he crushed it. He thinks that he dominated this. He thinks that he completely won every single exchange. He thinks, oh, I've finally exposed Nick Fuentes for the racist that he is. I'm really showing the world what he is. And it's like, no, you've only exposed yourself to be completely out of touch. Completely out of touch. Now, I think of all the interviews you've seen, I've seen the Crowder one, I've seen the Tucker one. I think this was the one where Nick was most his podcast persona. First of all, they let him shoot from his own studio. They didn't fly him out and make him sit in a room. They let him shoot from his own studio. So he's got home field advantage. And I think this was the one where they actually took clips from the show, had him respond to him. Like this was the most where Coleman Hughes had said that Nick has his reasonable persona that he uses for interviews. And then he has the persona he uses on his show, which is more familiar to his audience. It's what his audience likes. And he has the more moderate persona he trots out in public. That's been a criticism of him. I think this is the one where he was the most, I guess they'd say mask off, where he was the most like his show persona. He really sounds like he does on his show. And I think that actually worked to his benefit. Now, again, we're going to see what happens. I think downstream of this, there were some host-scaring clips that came out of this that I think may be used to mobilize female voters. So we're going to see what kind of impact comes out of this. I'm not sure. But I think in general, the impression I walked away from this with is like Piers Morgan is completely out of touch with the direction things are moving. And by the way, legacy media is with him. That's like they do not understand. The zeitgeist has shifted under his feet. Let's see. From shame to condescension to disbelief, Piers is just a 60s feminist in a blazer with an accent. Absolutely. That's exactly the right diagnosis. It's just like, oh, you really think that? It's like, oh, I can't believe you think that. It's like, oh. It's just pearl clutching. And I got to tell you, it's not effective. That is not going to work anymore. You got to have an argument. You got to propose an alternative worldview. And they're not able to do that. The legacy media is not able to do that. So, yeah. What up? Ronald's here. What's up, buddy? Ronald Skinburn, friend of the channel. Yeah, this is exciting. We're going to see how this turns out over the next the coming days, weeks, and months. This is a significant moment. Like I said, it's a little too soon to tell what the impact is going to be. It's a little too soon to tell whether Nick Fuentes is going to be a force for net good or not. I'm very interested in how this is going to play out. It's a very exciting time to be. It's a very exciting time. And remember, this is the same. So we didn't have time to cover this, but they just had that. There's a clip kind of going around of this panel that the New York Times put together with it was weird. There's this panel about should you trust the media, and it was a bunch of media figures, and then it was like Ben Shapiro and like Andrew Schultz and Charlamagne the God from representing like the bro podcast space. And they were like, and some broad on there was like, can we stop saying the media? Because it's very, we stop saying media. And Andrew Schultz was like, right, let's say what we really mean. The Jews. And it's like, I'm just kidding. And he's trying to do a joke. Ben Shapiro's laughing because it's objectively funny. But the legacy media journalists are like, oh my God. And they're just clutching their pearls. He's like, I'm joking. I'm being funny. It's just being funny. It's a joke. Except for the comments were like that, but unironically, which is rough. But I'm saying like the zeitgeist is completely shifted, and new media doesn't give a fuck about all of these rules. New media does not care. New media is just gonna like is totally fine being edgy, is totally fine being shocking, is totally fine being transgressive, is being funny and interesting, and doesn't want to be buttoned up, doesn't want to be boring, doesn't want to follow the established rules of the HR department. Like that's over. That's over. You know, and this is it. Like I think we're gonna see a lot more of Nick's way of doing things, and Pierce's way of doing things is gonna go the way of the dodo. So a lot of these really overpaid, bloviating purveyors of, mouthpieces for the HR department and the regime are gonna go the way of the dodo. They're on the way out. And I think it's going to be a lot more of these iconoclastic figures are going to rise up in their place. Some of these guys who are self-starters, who are motivated. Like I said, we are not that far away from our first podcaster president, guys. We are not that far away. A lot of people thought it was going to be Charlie Kirk. He's dead now. We are not that far away from our first podcaster president, guys. Especially this live streaming format. The shit is extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. So this is a new era. Like new media is completely different. So we're going to see how this turns out, man. I'm really excited, actually. I think it's going to be, in general, it's going to be really good. But it's interesting times, for sure. It's interesting times. So it's too soon to tell whether it's going to be good or bad. But yeah, I'm torn because I love to see the HR department get kicked in the teeth. I want it gone. I want that social order gone just as much as the next guy. But like at what cost? Like if we're replacing it with sort of like right-wing authoritarianism, like is that really what we want? So, and a lot of people are going to say yes. So that's the thing. A lot of people are like that, like unironically, yes, that is what they want. And I'm like, maybe, I don't know. They might. Here's the thing. It's like they have the better argument right now. So it's like it's hard to push back against that when all of the things that I would use to push back against that. It's like all the logical. You have to form logical, coherent arguments, right? You have to form an alternative worldview and be able to offer it as a rebuttal. And right now, I haven't seen a lot of people doing that. A lot of people are just doubling down on like shame and emotional hysteria. So. Not good. Not good. Let's see. What's ironic to me is that people like Piers would definitely throw Nick in a gas chamber if they got the chance. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like the leftist, especially the far left. They definitely. We know that the far left wants to do violence to the far right. They just don't have the power to do it. Right. And now what we're starting to see emerge is after all that. I mean, you guys were there. I mean, you guys have seen it. We've all the people got canceled, lost jobs. Just me, myself. I've lost jobs for political reasons. And me, myself, I've been banned from comedy clubs for not being sufficient, for not kissing the ring of the woke. I got banned from like 5 venues in my home city for not being woke. That's what happens. Like we've all been on the receiving end of this, so it's like, yeah, I'm to some degree, I'm sensitive to that, like this kind of pushback. I'm not going to lie to you and be like, yeah, it fucking feels good to see somebody stick it to a guy like Piers Morgan. It feels good, but there's also a part of me that's like, at what cost? Like, is this really the direction things are going now? And it's like, maybe. I don't know. And I'll be honest, like I'm not the guy. Like I'm a guy who points at what's happening and says that's happening. I'm not the guy that says what you should do. So, yeah, I don't have a coherent second idea. I don't have a coherent alternative worldview to offer. So, I don't know. We're going to have to see how things play out. Anyway, guys, this has been a lot of fun. We're like 2.5 hours now, so I'm going to hop off. I got other shit I got to do today. You guys have been fucking great. My name is Theo Snodgrass, comedian podcaster out of Las Vegas, Nevada. I do this show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific time. We do Theocracy. Also on Saturdays, I do my panel show, 11 a.m. Pacific time. But here, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, this is where the party is. You're going to want to be here. You're going to want to be in the chat. We have the best audience on the internet. We get cool stuff. There's all sorts of memes on X and stuff. If you want to know, if you are new here, please like, share, subscribe, comment. Even if you didn't like it, comment. Follow me on YouTube. That's important. Also, subscribe to me on Patreon. That's going to be important. We got to get all the money that comes in is just going to go to making a better show. So subscribe on Patreon, and then also go ahead and donate to the Stream Elements tip jar if you want to do a one-time donation. That's in the description. It's going to be a lot of fun. Buy some merch from the merch store, whatever you want to do. And yeah, let's keep on doing this. Now, I'm going to have a bunch of new live comedy clips going up on the Patreon pretty soon. And also, we're going to have clips of the show, shorter clips of the show. For those of you that can't hang out for the whole 2.5, 3 hours of the show, because a lot of you guys don't want to do that. That's okay. We're going to have 10-minute clips, 15-minute clips coming out pretty soon that you can show to people. So we can hopefully get some more visibility on the show that way. We get a lot of new viewers lately, but we still want to get more eyeballs on the show. So go ahead and share with people that you think might benefit from it. My philosophy is, if I'm creating enough value, then people are just going to, if you create enough value for the audience, then people are going to share the show. So that's the way I look at it. I rely a lot on that organic reach. Hopefully I get discovered by the algorithm, but you can't really control that. So, hopefully my goal is if I create a good enough show, people will share it with people. People will share it with their friends, their family, whatever, and they'll share it with your Zoomer cousin, your Gen Alpha cousin. That's who the show's for. So even if you have a millennial cousin with Peter Pan syndrome, whatever it is, share it with them because they need to get it. And then I'm going to try to put some comedy. I got some longer comedy videos. I'm going to try to turn some of those into shorts and then maybe put them up on the Patreon. So we got a lot of cool stuff happening. If you want to keep track of that, go ahead and follow me on YouTube. If you want to see where I'm doing live comedy, follow me on X and Instagram. That's probably the best way to keep track of that. And then you'll see when I'm coming to a city near you. I'm going to be going on the road again in February. So I'm going to be going all over the Northwest. I'm going to be in a lot of different stops. So if you're in the Northwest, I look forward to seeing you. I'm also trying to plan trips to the East Coast and to the South next year. That's one of my main goals, is to get out to the East Coast and get out to the South. Because I think there's a lot of opportunity out there. There's a big, beautiful country we live in, and I have the privilege to be able to travel it. So that's what I'm going to do. Theo Pill, the Disney adults. That's right. That's great, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys. All right, folks, take it easy. I'm going to get out of here. Please enjoy the intro to my other show as the outro to this show. Thank you very much. Keep it classy. Take it easy.
Look at that crack. Damn, this grass look good. This Johnson grass look good. Well, look at my grass. No. Look at that grass.
Are we looking at Arz's cat now?
Yes. Sorry, I didn't hear a damn thing you said.
All right.
And because I was a gazillionaire and I like doing it so much, I cut that price for free.
The species is dying. The birth rate is plummeting. Women are chopped. But yeah, you know what? Get a fucking cat.
I know even more about grass.